Howdy, folks, and welcome to Adventures in Alberon, our 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign. I'm Joe Treff, your Dungeon Master for the evening, and joining me are Matt, Miles, Allie, and Tina. I actually got really thrown off today because Matt didn't say anything as we were coming in through the intro, and so I was waiting for you to jump in and try to distract me, and it just never happened. So that threw me off. Actually, better than generally you talking.
So it still worked.
Yeah.
Still worked.
Yeah, it was a
That
pretty
was-
steep curveball.
I consciously thought about it too before we were about to start. I was like,
I wasn't sure, but I had a
no,
thought.
I'll wait.
Yeah. So, anyways, welcome to our campaign. It's a campaign that we started playing almost 2 years ago now at this point, which is crazy to think about. Just in different kitchens and dining rooms and things like that. Matt's living room with the cats tearing through, so that was a lot of fun. But we slowly kind of have built this campaign that we get to share with you, which is super cool. And hello, Talon, and thank you for the cheer. So before we get into things, really short announcements for tonight. First, thanks to Sophie Bischoff for using the Finger Gang for her Inktober project. So if any of you guys are participating in Inktober, feel free to use our content for inspiration because it looks super cool. But it's a picture of the gang around a campfire. It's probably the happiest that Shae's ever looked. And for the first time, it really captures like a Guntir grumble sort of look where he's real angry looking. So I really like it. It's pretty great. Check that out. She's at Dibadoop, which is DIBDABOEP on Instagram. And they have a whole bunch of really cool work because they're doing one thing every day. And it's super cool. And then also, if you check out our blog on alberonrpg.com, there is a new post up about the Festival of Fears, which is the analogous Halloween holiday of Alberon. It's on the 30th of the Rotting, so it passed. You guys were actually on the way to Biss, I think, when it happened. The reason that you guys ran into that goblin Dindin was because they were on their way to do their Festival of Fears tour down the East Coast. But there's a lot of lore there and an explanation for why such a thing exists. It's a little bit more aggressive than a normal Halloween, but not much. It's still fun for the people that participate, for the most part. But check that out, alberonrpg.com. And then one thing that I wasn't planning on announcing, but it's here. I am moving, and so I left all of my dice in my new place. So I have no dice, so I'm using the digital dice on D&D Beyond. So they have this great dice tool, and you can just click whichever dice you want to roll, and it rolls it for you. And so just, that is what I'm using for dice. So if there are any questions about the rolls or why I'm not rolling things, that is why. And then finally, we use Sirenscape for all of our sound effects and the music that you can hear in the background. It is an awesome digital tool set for creating ambiance and role-playing games or storytelling, or, if you want to do a podcast and have goblins screaming in the background for some reason, it is available for you. So check it out, Sirenscape. And with that, I believe that's all the announcements that I have. Yes, it is. So we can get right into our recap. Let me go ahead and pull up some more appropriate music, speaking of Sirenscape. When we last played, Guntir, we started with you, all of you, in the Ring of Silver, outside the broken down shop that at one point had been this beautiful Gibbon Society hall. Marble walls, now a large hole through the second floor because of Guntir's golem. But Guntir, we started with you demanding directions to the Ring of Iron. You received help from an enamored fan of you, the Slayer of Nightmares, rather. Guntir, after obtaining directions, you told the young lady she shouldn't be trying so hard, and made your way towards the maintenance stairwell she had directed you to. Heinrich, you apologized for your friend, explaining that one must be hardened and callous to slay a dragon. Nevertheless, you all made your way down to the Ring of Iron, though as you opened the door, ash and soot flooded in. Outside, in the dull red glow of the fires that still burn, ash had settled nearly 3 feet deep in places, like a blizzard born from the elements of Kol Taram that smolder around you. Shae, with an increasing trust in the techniques and lessons learned while under the tutelage of the various Zinyi, you were able to walk across the ash. Guntir, you bulldozed your way through, using freedom of movement to force the ash to shift around you. The rest of you, it was a little bit slower going. Guntir, with some incredible luck, you discovered a manhole that allowed you access to the gray water runoff, a system of tunnels used to drain the gray water, which is melting snow and maybe the water from wash tubs, not sewage per se, but just runoff. You traveled to a T intersection, which Morwen you scouted out. Down the left path, there was a pile of gnawed upon dwarf bones, some flesh still attached in places, and behind that, a steep drop. To the right, a tunnel that seemed to be crumbling in places. You could hear pebbles distantly dropping and echoing down. Hearing those bits of stone, you decided to go left past the bones. Guntir, you cast Speak with Dead on the most intact piece of skull you could find. You didn't learn much, but you did learn that it had been chased and killed by a creature with many hungry mouths. You dropped into murky, soot-filled water with a layer of soft ash floating atop, making it impossible to judge how deep it was. Guntir, you didn't notice the wires broken and twisted underneath, but still, with another bout of luck, you were able to avoid becoming entangled beneath. Morwen and Heinrich, you took some time to construct a 5-by-5-foot raft made of bones of the dwarves who had very recently lost their lives. You encountered a sewer sloth, and Guntir, you managed to frighten it into running away. You left it to do so and came upon, finally, a tunnel that led down to a decline, and you came to see for the first time in a long time a sunset on a snowy northern landscape. Guntir, you immediately stumbled down the icy sloping pipe, intent on learning how far it dropped. And you did, through experience, that it was an 80-foot fall. Almost instinctually as you fell, you cast Feign Death, causing your 287-year-old corpse to become impaled 60 feet below on massive icicles. The rest of you easily made your way down using climbing equipment and various other techniques. And Heinrich, you you conjured flames to melt the icicle away, causing Guntir's body first to slide down the jagged piece of ice, but eventually causing it to tumble over and Guntir to be freed. You freed the old dwarf and walked along the mountains until you came upon the entrance behind an illusionary flow of ice. You entered, and using Dimension Door, Heinrich, you bypassed this unmanned iron entrance. You all walked through the rat tunnels, becoming somewhat lost by following Guntir's lead, all of you intent on teaching Guntir a lesson by creating issues through his actions.
Be a dick!
You came
Not
to
all of us.
You know what? It's all available on twitch.tv/AlberonRPG, so you can be the judge. But after walking for a time, you became a little bit lost following Guntir's lead and came into a doorway that you had not seen before, with a rapidly closing aperture. After spending a lot of time with this fairly straightforward issue, you threw the GamCube down, both blocking the tunnel beyond and enabling yourselves to safely camp down for the evening within its expanding metal frame. Heinrich, you asked your book for directions and received a brief map. You copied it, and as the rest of the gang wake up, mid-morning on the 9th of the Claws of Winter, what would you like to do? I would say, Heinrich, you've been awake for the whole night, as you do not sleep. Mm-hmm. But Shae, you would wake up first, then Guntir, then Morwen.
I'm gonna go check on Shae for sure.
Okay. So she's
farthest away from the group in our destination.
Yeah, as part of you just kind of naturally walking from the GamCube to where Shae was staying for the evening in that the entryway workshop where you had met Virgil and seen the beautiful statue of his mother, you easy enough have been making your way back and forth. This is almost like secondhand to you, and you've kind of gotten a pretty good sense of these tunnels and the various ones that shoot off around. So no problem, you walk over. As you approach, you can see Shae already in the midst of her morning routine.
Huh. You're already up, I see.
Yes.
Good. Shall we press on? Not really much here anyways.
Yes, the quicker we get through this, the better.
Yeah, I got this, and I hold up the drawing of the map. Or rather, the line work of the tunnel that we should follow.
And so Heinrich pulls out this piece of parchment, and on it, it looks like almost like a subway map. Just these lines that kind of jagged and they move off. You could see areas that might represent openings or additional tunnels that are just sort of flat areas within it, but it seems to be fairly straightforward. And Heinrich, now taking a look at this map and kind of having traversed these halls all night, you can pretty easily orient yourself within this place. You know that you are in this portion of the tunnel, just a little bit offset to the southeast of where you guys had previously traveled. You could backtrack through the tunnels and take the straightaway route pretty easily. But looking at it, you can see that there is a very straight pathway that seems to be somewhat shorter, thinner, and would probably shave a decent amount of time off.
Probably wise. So
Indeed.
holding it up to Shae, yeah, you see, and right here, and this maybe is a little bit shorter. So I don't know. What do you think? Do we want to leave it up to our yesterday's strategy, or should we just kind of pick the path?
Shorter is better.
It is unknown.
Shorter is still better.
Okay, then let's do that.
As
So
long as
you-
you know the way.
Walking back toward. What's up?
As long as you know the way.
Well, I mean, as good as a line can give me, but it was a line drawn by a god, so or close to it, so I'll trust it.
Fair enough.
All
It's
right.
always good to trust lines that magically appear in a book.
Yeah.
But
The
you
only
and
way I
Shae
live my
make your
life.
way. Yeah, of course. You and Shae make your way back without issue, and as you approach, you actually can hear Guntir waking up. These kind of hisses, squeaks, and moans. You can hear him turn, and each bone in his hips just kind of pop individually.
Guntir, keep it down. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Guntir, make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh no.
I hit the snooze button on Guntir.
Natural 20.
Natural
Hey.
20. You wake up, and for a brief moment, there's this kind of hiccup in your heart, but it's almost like you just
Nothing
waking
out of
up
the
more.
ordinary.
It's you're 287. It's happened before.
Ooh. I feel really refreshed. Alright, 5 more minutes.
Guntir takes a little bit of time to limber up the ancient body that
Get
is
some.
his.
I'm gonna
Takes
see if
all of
I've
5
got any
minutes.
pocket bacon left.
Yeah, you have some pocket bacon left. You took some from the bits that you had gotten when you were staying in the Alkin, so
Take
you
some
have
out.
a little. It's the spicy curried bacon, so
Mm,
probably the
Yeah,
most
that'll-
aggressive flavored of the
that's
bunch.
good. That'll put some pep in my step. I'm gonna
Um,
nibble on it.
hearing that, I'll get up a lot quicker. I'm up.
Okay. Morwen pops up, just tabaxi for static, and kind of like, the bedhead I would imagine on a tabaxi is pretty severe.
Yeah. Oh, it's full body.
Especially
yeah.
sleeping on like a metal ground. Unless
Oh,
you
yeah.
slept on the chair.
Well, you used to be as a pillow, right? So there's probably like a
Yeah.
little indent where your head was smoothed
Yeah.
fur and everything else is puffy.
Yeah.
You have Guntir hair. But you wake
Ah,
up, you can see
want some
Guntir eating
bacon?
his cold bacon.
Yes, please.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, let's finish this before we open the door.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's just,
And I'm really
start
enjoying
the day
it.
off, on the right
time.
foot.
As you eat it is cold, and the fat on it has condensed somewhat, but it's a heavily curried, almost candied bacon, and so the flavor is still fantastic, and the texture is kind of contained within that candied coating on the outside. So
I'm sure
delicious.
I
Alright.
eat like an old shark for like a month, so this is pretty great.
Yeah.
yeah, kind of Towards the
Exaggeration,
end, it was
but
getting
still.
very metallic tasting and not quite fresh, but yeah, it sustained you.
All right. Ready to go face the sticks and the muds?
Yeah, sure. Let them in.
I feel like we'd be right outside the door.
Yeah.
when they
Oh,
open
yeah,
it
you can-
already.
you
Just
can
like
hear that.
totally like face right,
Oh.
ready to go.
You can
Sure.
hear us like eating and like, oh, that
Well,
bacon's
no.
so
No,
good.
we're-
inside.
Yeah, my mistake. You cannot hear anything that they're saying on the inside.
Right.
But
I'm just
as you
politely
open
waiting
the door-
right in front of the door.
All right. Big smiles on our faces. Here we go. Good morning. Hey. Hey, you're right there.
Yes, hi.
Great.
Good to see you're up. How'd you rest
That
after
was
your fall
wonderful.
yesterday?
What fall?
When you...
I
Glad to
feel
hear you're
fit
feeling
as a
good.
fiddle.
Good, that's good. Morwen, you're feeling good? You ready to hit the tunnels?
Yeah.
My shoulder's a
let's
little
drop Helia
sore,
off.
but-
I want to get a move on.
Yeah, I think we all do. I found the shortest path, by the way.
Oh,
I'll
about
just
time.
show them the map, basically, so now we all have a general mental picture.
Sure. So you guys look and you can see
I don't
just
care.
this
I'm just gonna
sub-looking
follow.
map. Great.
Just like, very nice.
Does it remind Guntir? Because this is Matt trying to remember as Guntir, so it's
Okay.
a little foggy.
Sure.
But was it something about always going to the right?
Make an intelligence check for Guntir. He's old. He forgets stuff.
That is 18. Nice.
You remember Virgil, the necklace dwarf with the kind of bat-wing helmet, telling you to always take the straightest path. You just want to go straight. And looking at the map that Heinrich has, there's like this central artery that very clearly leads. And looking at it, you almost remember, traversing through this like fairly easy terrain with these offshoots to the side. So yeah.
Yeah. Alright. That looks good. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna step out of the cube and just kind of like,
Oh yeah, I'll get
kind of
out
have
too.
to,
Oh yeah, get.
if you don't mind.
Wait, you wait until everybody gets out before you say that.
Yeah, everyone got out, right?
So as everybody
Yeah.
leaves, you touch the cube and say "gam," and it just becomes, as each panel folds in on itself, this little cube in your hands.
Put it away, stash it in my pocket.
Heinrich, worth noting now that this is gone, this impediment, you can see the continuation of the path, and maybe 10 feet away, or 10 feet beyond where the outline of this heavily indented cube was, you can see there's like a pile of stones, two that are kind of angled and one that's been laid on top. And looking at your map and looking at that seems to be behind that, perhaps, where this path is.
Now, just out of paranoia,
Yeah.
these stones were here when we had progressed further to that door before.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
hard. I would say it would be difficult to remember because Guntir kind of quickly blocked it off from you guys, and
Sure.
nobody got a good chance to look through. But as far as you can remember, make an intelligence check, just to ease your paranoia, perhaps.
14.
14. You remember that there was a rock formation there.
Okay. Cool. All right.
So just to be clear,
Start
no one's
heading for the
you didn't see
straightest
anyone
path forward.
pass by or pass around?
Nope, not all night. I mean, you guys are blocking the
Yeah, how could anyone
progress
pass
further
by?
into the mountain, and the
Oh,
only
I
thing
guess,
behind us
I
is
guess
the door.
that's true. I'm just.
with
I
three
found it
locks.
weird that there's been like no patrol.
Well,
We didn't hear any knocking.
I'm just gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
take a guess that everything kind of got pulled back into the city when the fight happened, and then kind
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna take a guess and think that all of the stuff that was up above is probably making its way downward.
These cold rats better be down here, I swear.
They're probably down here, but there might also be like, the gibbets and the minotaurs.
Let's drop Helia off.
Yeah, and the keys.
That she's getting cranky in there.
Gotta be polite.
The keys.
So are you going over to the stones? The stones themselves, the pile, only
Yeah.
comes up about 3 feet to, it would come up to like Gunter's chest, perhaps, maybe just a little bit lower.
Mhm.
And as you approach them and you get closer, you can see they very clearly are covering up a hastily dug kind of tunnel. It's only 3 feet tall. It's wide enough that you could all make your way through, albeit it would be like hands and knees.
I'm gonna check the map.
And looking down, this is where that narrow, shorter path seems to line up.
No shit. Hey, Shae, remember that thing I was saying, the shorter path? And I'm just gonna gesture. Well, hold on, and I'll just move the rocks out of the way.
Okay, so they're not terribly big. You can kind of shift them. The other one kind of falls off, and behind there is this tunnel dug first through rock and then into dirt beyond. And you can see It progresses down a ways because of how narrow it is, and there is no light source, it would appear. Perhaps you can't quite see down it. There's something maybe blocking, or just the darkness, perhaps.
I'm gonna do light on my wrist and just hold it in just to look.
Okay, yeah. So as you
And
touch
show Shae as well, I guess.
from your hands, this celestial glyph just leaps off and seems to almost fade into the wrap, and you pulled it up. You can see, what is it, 60 feet?
Yeah.
You can see the light illuminate 60 feet. This is roughly dug, and there is still fresh
wait.
dirt and stone.
20-foot radius. Sorry.
20-foot radius. Cool.
Yeah. I was
For the
thinking of
20
my
feet
dark
that you
vision,
can see just crumbled rock and stone and dirt. And based on the fact that you don't see that anywhere else, this has been dug more recently than this primary tunnel. Shae, you looking at it, you don't see the signs of Gamble's handiwork anywhere. You don't actually see any kind of real supports. You can see that it looks as if it's been dug in a careful way so as to create a natural almost support system. But this is not the work of the Shadow Scavs.
I would like to stone cunning this tunnel.
Yeah, make a stone cunning check on this.
I'll shuffle out of the way
I'm
and be like,
wondering,
oh, hey, Guntir.
could this have been dug out by some of the darker creatures that we had learned about from like before the dwarves of Colteron?
You're talking about the old ones, the creatures that inhabited the space where the Undercity and...
Yes.
Okay.
Or that, or like the dark gnomes. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Or Kevin.
Or like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm trying to discern the origins of this hole. Like, if
Okay.
it's got certain dig marks that are, you know,
So you're trying to match something to this hole.
yeah, figure
Okay.
out like what could have created this hole.
Sure.
And that was a 21.
Not bad. So as you shuffle out of the way, Heinrich, and hold the wrap up, Gunter, you get really close. And for the first time, and probably sometime, both eyes focus on the same point. And you take in just this beam of light. But as you look at this, you can see there are small marks that look almost like tiny pickaxes. You can see areas that are clearly just natural claws, especially once you get to the dirt. You can see, based on the way that the dirt is kind of scattered and almost comes out of the tunnel, like a little bit of a cone. You would imagine something small.
Red
like
hats,
this.
red caps.
And as you consider, what creatures are small, you're brought back to the Dawnfather's ziggurat
Yeah.
and the hundreds of kobolds that had taken up residence there. And you would know kobolds are very good diggers. They are usually employed, and actually, Heinrich, you in Port Quinn would know, but there is almost society of them that lives beneath the city, and they're allowed to roam, and actually kind of almost encouraged, because they've basically created the sewer system of Port Quinn. It's one of their natural abilities, and looking at this looks to be kobold dug.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna be like, so you want to go down there? Because I'm pretty sure that's the way.
No, yeah, I'd rather go
Not
the way
there.
that we know. I think I might pass on this shorter, straighter path.
No, you just want to take the straighter path.
Well, literally straighter, yeah.
Yeah, just going straight forward.
So you got a map and you're gonna just like not use it?
Well, it had two
The
paths
map
to
is,
the Undercity, so I'd rather just follow the one that we know that we've been down before.
Let's do that.
Yeah, you can
Is it
certainly
that
do that.
easy?
Onward!
What do
I'm
you
gonna
Oh,
start
we didn't do it
moving.
first
I'm gonna
time.
come out of the hole and make my way to the
use a map? the first
straightest
time, or-
path out from where we came in.
Okay. So Gunter begins to walk away as you and Morwen discuss where you're going. Heinrich, you do have the map.
So, I'll just start following it.
Okay. So you begin to follow it. Gunter, are you following? I mean, you're in front, so are you like looking to see where Heinrich is going behind you, or are you just wandering off?
Was he just going down the cobalt hole?
No. He begins to walk back so that you guys can take the way that you took the very first time you entered the mountain.
Ah. I'm gonna say, oh, hold on, where are you going?
To the Undercity, and I just don't turn around as I reply.
I'm pretty sure
Just
it's
follow
this
me.
way.
Okay. As you say that, Guntir, the rest of the group just continues on, and they're walking back roughly in the direction at the moment of the workshop that you had entered through.
Alright, well, pretty sure it's this way, but I'm gonna turn and follow. I think it's this way.
And Gunter, using your old intelligence check almost immediately as you begin to follow Heinrich, it takes about 5 minutes to get back to a point where there's an intersection of these tunnels. And Heinrich, you go down the it's the northwestern facing path rather than the northeastern facing path that you had taken previously. And almost immediately, Gunter, you recognize the little bits of stone that you had taken such an interest in the first time. And you're definitely going the right way now.
Oh.
Almost immediately you recognize that.
Alright.
So
Yeah.
you add maybe 20 minutes on to your journey, no problem, but you begin to see the trail ascend, and as those elements break off and branch, they're no longer tunnels, but almost stalagmites that rise up and kind of form partial walls here and there. But you come to a point where you can see it opens up much beyond. And as you get closer, you can see the huge, maybe quite a walk away, the first pillar that you would be crossing. You can see there are people moving here and there. There is the red-cap goblin pillar that you had seen, the goblin gables, is swarming with activity. You just see dozens, if not hundreds, of little red hats. There are fires. You can actually smell from this distance there's food being cooked perhaps somewhere nearby. But you have returned to this tremendous cavern underground with these the small city that has been erected with them.
So yeah, not sightseeing, just drop off what we came to drop off and head to Squall's End. Is that kind of the idea?
Sure.
Oh, we're down here.
Well,
No.
all right. I'm gonna take off towards the gentle repose. Like, no need for anyone to follow me. It's fine. I'm just, unless you want to, I don't care. It's just faster if we take care of all this stuff.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
going.
Oh, wait,
I'm
hold
going
on.
to. I want to see ghosts.
Oh, well, I'm gonna take out the urn
Okay.
and be like, does anyone want to bring this to?
I guess I should do that.
Oh,
Seeing as
I'll
I'm a
come
dwarf.
drop off Helia.
Yeah, here.
Okay.
Either one of you guys want it?
No, I don't want. No, that seems
Here.
weird.
Alright, but I also want the that goblin dagger.
I don't know what you're talking
Shae.
about. Here.
Nope.
Shae.
No. Kind of a walk up
Still
towards the
ain't
gentle
coming.
repose.
Okay. So Gunter and Morwen are going to go return Helia, whatever that means, and then Heinrich, you and Shae are going to go to the gentle repose.
I'm just gonna shout at Shae as they're walking away. You're the thief in this group!
You taught me well.
Through the chamber.
Damn Skippy!
Skip, hippie, hippie, out into the echoing space. But you guys separate. I would say we're going to start with Heinrich and Shae, then we'll go to you, Gunter, and Morwen. Heinrich, you easy enough because you've traveled this way quite a few times now. You pass the first sort of crumbling pillar now, and you actually had first seen this was the pillar where a lot of the dwarves who had fled Kulturam had kind of made their home. Much quieter now. There are still one or two here and there. You can see largely in the process of loading bags and crates, and it seems like they're moving back to Kulturam. You don't see any members of the Bearded Consortium. They seem to be mostly fairly mundane dwarves. You pass the Goblin Gables on your right. There's a few goblins that notice you, but whatever they're doing, and it seems to be more of like a celebration, they're far too preoccupied. You see a number of them are fairly intoxicated. There's one that is just flat passed out on the steps leading up to the pillar. But you pass that, no problem. And you come to the area where the buildings that rise up here and there, some of them ruined, some of them intact but empty. Slowly they become almost nothing. And you are on this very flat, dark place. And slowly as you walk, passing here and there, these lone statues of people, you come to this old Victorian house that sits alone in this place. You can see the black paint, the awning that leads to a red painted door. And you have returned to the gentle repose.
And okay, so nothing really has changed, right?
As far as you could tell.
Okay. All right, I'll go and enter, I suppose.
Okay. You walk up and underneath the awning, and you open the door, and you can see beyond it the beautiful tiled floor and the dark wood accents of this Victorian home, the central desk, and you can see the familiar figure, Cindariel, who you all call Cinder, the sort of gaunt and prim elf with the hair pulled back into a tight bun, wearing a different but fairly similar black, almost like a men's suit. The pants now a little bit more pinstriped, it seems. One hand behind the back, another kind of up and holding something. She looks over almost casually, and then seeing who it is, drops whatever it is that she's holding onto the sort of counter that she is behind, and she rushes forwards. She looks kind of back and forth, then settles on you, Heinrich. You're back. You've been gone for 6 days. Typically, it is custom to pay for the rooms, especially if you take the keys with you.
Exactly, and I had to apologize. See, we had business to attend to in the city above. I think we had mentioned that. And it looks like it got us a little more tied up. But I'm just here to settle our debt and, pay up and wish you well. And that should you be curious about it, it seems the city above is restructuring, maybe somehow take this business up to a more profitable level, if that makes sense.
The thing is, it's not terribly welcoming to my kind up there. So down here suits me very well, and the aesthetic of the Undercity is perfect for what I do.
You'd be surprised. There was a drow that I think we came across who had just set up shop in the Ring of Silver yesterday, actually. I don't, if you're comfortable down here, no big deal. But just saying that maybe things are changing and I want to go check it out. Just check out your options or something. That's kind of all. And I'm getting the keys out as I'm doing this.
Okay. I would hate to lose my customer base, but she looks around and there's just like the creak of wood and just the faint sound of almost like crickets if they could exist in such a place. But perhaps it's worth looking into.
Sure. This house seems to have just appeared here. Maybe, however it got here, could get upstairs.
Oh, it could certainly do it. That's a lot of change, and I do appreciate how hidden I am here. But, nevertheless, you've been gone for... Oh, sure.
I think I got information that I wanted, just because I've been curious about this building since we've been here, forever ago. Can I, insight to see how off guard I caught her, and can I press as to exactly how this house came to be here?
So make an insight check, and then how are you pressing that?
So, just kind of going to twist the words around and be like, oh, well, where was it before it was here, and how does it move? Do you control it, et cetera, et cetera? Insight, not great. Gosh darn it. 15.
15? Okay. In kind of looking at her face, it's not so much that you catch her off guard. She seems to be fairly comfortable. You've kind of observed that she is fairly intense in the few customers that she does have. You do get the sense that there is a little bit of nervousness in the idea, even as her eyes go up and she kind of considers, you can see her imagining what it is that you're saying. There's a bit of anxiety that you can see, but aside from that, it's kind of hard to tell. You don't know her that well. However, if you want to press it, what do you say?
Yeah, well, how is it exactly that a house like this can appear here and then have a will to move elsewhere?
Well, the house itself doesn't have a will, necessarily, but those within it that do might be able to make certain things shift in and out of the places that it has been and the places that it will be, if that makes sense. It's a little bit more complicated than just
Did you
moving.
talk to them? Did you learn this by talking to them, or
Talking to whom?
those that dwell here on a more permanent residence?
When I meant those that dwell here and have a will here, I meant myself.
Oh, so you're able to move.
I'm able to do a lot of things.
Show me a trick.
Make a persuasion check.
Ah, damn it. Sorry, math. 13. Not the greatest.
You can see the corner of her mouth kind of lifts. And when she smiles, there is not mean or evil necessarily, but just based on the kind of pale skin and the shadows that are cast from these flickering kind of lanterns, there is this almost like very sinister storytelling kind of look as she does smile. But she holds out one hand. Still, there's one behind her back, but she holds it out, and on it, just popping into light, you can see a tiny little Heinrich just twisting as if a hologram above.
Ah, nice. I can do that too, and I'll cast Minor Illusion on her.
Okay. And so all of a sudden, that appears, and you could see. And for, I would say, who went? It was you, Shae. As you look, it is almost like that strange kind of optical illusion of that ballerina that spins. And if you look at the right place, the light reverses.
Yep.
But it's just Heinrich and Sindario, the tiefling and the elf that are just kind of spinning on each other's hands. One this vague kind of teal, and one more of like a dark gray. But they seem to almost kind of match each other.
And then I'll just put it away and be like, nice. All right.
She closes her hands and it disappears.
Figured I'd just let you know about news from above. Kind scale's gone and all that.
I appreciate it. Are all of your friends with you?
Well, not immediately. Around, yeah. Shae here and I and the other
Yes,
girl.
I do. I do see Shae. Hello, Shae. Lovely to see you.
Likewise.
I do know that your friend Morwen was so interested in the spirits that reside within this place. And while she did miss quite a bit of activity, there was something left behind. And maybe as a souvenir, you could give it to her. I do feel badly that she didn't get to see them. They are, if a bit of a nuisance, certainly interesting.
Sounds it.
And she runs over and grabs that little thing that she was looking at off the counter, and she comes back and hands it to you. And you can see it looks like a torn patch, like a little bit of leather almost, or almost like a Girl Scout badge, if you will. And it just looks like a ladder.
Well, that's interesting. Who should I say it's from?
If you would like to be a little bit theatrical, you could say it is from the beyond. But you could also say it's from me.
I see. Okay, well, sure. So how much do we owe you? I will not ask favors. I feel terribly we kept the keys should those rooms have been needed in our absence. I'm being polite, but I know that there was no one who was here.
It is not the guests that I need to look after with those keys. There was quite a bit of commotion in one of those rooms, owing to the spiritual activities of the Gentle Repose.
Oh.
And I fear there will be a lot of cleaning still to do. But having the keys back will allow me access without breaking down a door that I do not wish to repair.
Certainly.
For the time that you were gone, for the rooms that you had, the price would be 7 gold, and we'll just call it 7 gold.
We'll call it 10, and I'll give her
Oh.
10.
And she accepts it. Thank you very much, and you are always welcome at the Gentle Repose, should there be rooms open. And she kind of winks at you.
And I chuckle
Someone made a
politely,
frown.
and I'll do a little like courteous bow and say, well, until next time, we'll be in the north a little longer, but I don't think it'll be anytime soon. We do have business to return here in about at least 2 months, if not before. picking some fun things up from that new drow run shop that I was talking about in the Ring of Silver.
That does sound fascinating. Well, when you return, I hope you choose the gentle repose should you need a place to stay. But as you are adventurers, perhaps you'll find your way back some other way.
Perhaps.
Good business model. All right, and that's all I got. Thank you and goodbye.
She gently nods, and you and Shae presumably make your way out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Guntir and Morwen, the two of you, where are you going? How are you returning, Helia?
Let's go check out one of the bars.
I was just gonna say,
Get
maybe
drunk
we
before you
find
drop
that
the ball.
uncle.
Yeah, maybe he's at one of the bars though.
He's probably... Yeah, that's actually a pretty good guess.
Do you remember
Yeah.
the uncle's name?
I think it was like Grimy.
You want to make an intelligence check?
Can we both? Because I know that he told me to.
Sure, yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. And I thought I had it written down.
I like the image of you guys wandering around just being like, Grimy! Gotcha.
That's actually
Gotcha.
dirty 20.
Please.
Okay.
Good, good.
It was Grimy.
Morwen, what'd you roll?
A 12. Wasn't
A 12.
the worst.
Yeah. Maybe it was Grimy, maybe it was like Guthrie. It was something with the G.
Grimy, Guthrie.
And then suddenly it dawns on
Gamgee.
you, Guntir, it is not Gamgee, but it is in fact Grunvar.
Broomba.
Oh, yeah, Grunbar.
Yeah,
we'll
that
ask
was
around
it.
for him.
Yeah, let's go find him. He seemed like a guy.
Yeah, let's go, alright, I'm looking around. What's the rowdiest bar? We
Make
go
a
to that
perception check.
Um,
Rowdiest bar. Okay.
one.
Yeah.
For a 23?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me just pull up the Undercity
Got
guide
out
real
of
quick.
trouble.
Available at alberonrpg.com under Homebrew. For free, as all things Alberon will always be. All right. What was your roll? Sorry.
23.
23. Well, with a 23, you see a couple things, but you also would remember there was the gourmand, which I believe that you ate at before. Really good food, very expensive drinks, and quite high quality. You would remember just looking around from where you are. Are you going to like walk and kind of look?
No, I think, you know what? I'll just choose that place because it sounds expensive, and expensive people or fancy people will be at the expensive bar. So,
Sure. Why
just
not?
gonna assume that's a good shot.
Okay. So you begin to lead. Guntir, are you guys doing anything as you walk there? Because you do remember the way. It is in the People's Pillar, and you've been there before.
I guess we'll just be like, yeah. So that's how I fought my third dungeon troll.
And so as you're walking, it is in certain ways refreshing. Maybe not for you, Guntir, but there isn't the same intensity of attention. Here, you are not Guntir, the Slayer of
Oh, this
Nightmares.
is
You're just
good.
kind of another dwarf walking through.
Yeah,
And so it is a
I'm
bit of a
vacation.
shift. So you walk.
Yeah. Look,
We go to
after
the
we
thing.
drop off this urn, maybe before we meet back up with Heinrich and Shae, we take a look around.
Oh, no, we're
not
gonna
be.
we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, we're not gonna be here for much longer. Might as
Yeah,
well
don't know
make
what
the
it's-
most of it.
Don't know what's gonna be here when we come back. So
Exactly. I think it's a shame we don't get to stay longer.
yeah.
And
Come and
suddenly,
clean up the
more when
trash.
you come to the gourmand's kitchen. It is right on the edge of the People's Pillar territory and the cold rot held pillar that you guys know is called the Dark Hive.
This is the
Operates as kind of a casino. I'm sorry.
This is the place that I crashed like the first date, right?
Yes, this is where you ruined.
Just
Well,
checking.
ruined is a strong word. Where you became part of a first date.
Yeah.
But this is the small 8-seat establishment. It operates kind of on the edge of the cold rot territory. You know that it is fairly exclusive in its seating. It only has one. It has like a pre-fee menu every Friday night. It's once a week and really exclusive. But otherwise, it operates as a very, very nice kind of tavern with little snacks. And as you approach, I mean, it is a lively sort of establishment. Give me just one moment, and I can try to pull that up for you. All right. So, as you approach, it is small, There is not a tremendous number of seats, but I would say as you walk in, without too much of an issue, you can find two that are next to each other. There is somebody who walks out and creates an opening for you to go should you want to.
Yeah, let's go. There's
Yeah.
some seats over there. I'll
Hmm.
talk to the bartender.
Sure. So you walk up and you can see Morwen. You would actually recognize the bartender. He's a human, sort of a little bit heavier set. You can see bald head, brown hair that becomes almost like this. Actually, kind of matching what Guntir first looked like when you met him. You can see he's wearing almost like a white jacket, very similar to what you'd think of as like a chef's apron. However, or a chef's jacket, but it's open. The button's completely undone. Not wearing a shirt underneath, so definitely not serve safe certified. But he's finishing pouring off, and out of a glass bottle. This is a nicer beer. You can see dark brown, and you can actually almost smell the malt rising off of it. Little flecks of brown in the foam itself. But he pours it off and passes it off to a dwarf. Looks up at you, Morwen. His eyes narrow for a second. You can see a little bit of recognition, but he nods. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Hey, what do you want? What do you want to drink?
What do I want to drink?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have what he's having. I point to just 2 people down from me.
You can see he leans down. All the way at the end, there is this ancient-looking goblin woman who's actually wearing a dress that is far too large, but you can see leather cords or ropes have kind of cinched it in places. So she looks almost like the broom in Harry Potter that's been bundled up. The hair, such as it is, kind of brown and frazzled and almost stiff-looking. But as you point, you can see holding a very tiny little glass with something dark and almost like amber colored, very viscous. But he nods and turns back and
I'll
looks
get,
through a number of bottles.
Just give me your strongest beer.
Very easy. One
Give me
moment.
2 of those. And we're looking for Grumvar.
Okay.
Tall order.
Grunvar Coldrot.
Yeah.
He is
Or any
probably
cold rots, I guess.
Nah, we want that specific one, I think.
Yeah, probably him first.
Yeah.
Or like the head of the cold rots.
Doldrum. That's beyond pretty much.
Doldrum, that's the guy.
They were
Doldrum or
last.
Grumvar. Either or. Or both.
You ask a lot, but they're both currently, I believe, at the pillar of stairs. They're there with the garrison, awaiting for people to return. I guess I don't know who.
That's
Ah.
strange.
I
I
mean,
guess we'll go there. After our drinks.
Well,
I was gonna say, can we take him to go?
Yeah, you have to-go cups.
I don't.
Yeah, can we just
If you're willing to pay for the glasses, you may take them.
How much are the glasses?
Well, just a moment, and he takes this short, squat brown bottle with this, almost like an orange label. It's cloth and has these frayed edges to it. And as he turns it more, when you can see it drip slowly down like honey or molasses, and he doesn't upend it or change it, but it's a perfect pour that just settles into this tiny glass.
Yay.
He sets it down and slides it over to you. If you're taking the glass, that'll just be, we'll call it 5 pieces of silver. It's a nice glass.
Alright. Well,
I'm gonna
For
do
you,
that.
though. Okay, fine,
me?
sure. Mark it off. Yeah,
Glasses.
for you. He turns to you, Guntir, and pulls from beneath. It is an iron, like it looks like a tankard. And he sets it down, and you see it's all one piece of metal. He reaches underneath and pulls out what looks like a hooked dagger. It's like a scythe almost, and settles it in underneath this sort of lip. And as he turns, you can hear metal cut, and he rips the top off. It comes away very neatly.
nice.
And he passes you. You can see the edges are probably kind of sharp, but aside from that, it is this dark stout. As you smell it, you can smell caramel and just this deep, maybe like a chocolate, a very bitter chocolate. And then
Alright.
something else, something almost spicy.
And how much is this?
Well, lucky for you, it comes with a glass. But
Haha.
3 pieces
Alright.
of silver, please.
Alright. I'm gonna give him a gold piece and say, give me 2 more of these to go, and keep the change.
How are you gonna carry all these? There's 4 beers.
Certainly. And he turns and pops some more for you. Has one for himself and takes the gold piece.
Oh, you didn't have to open them. Oh, that's fine. All right.
So you kind of awkwardly hold. You're now holding
2 in each
3.
hand.
Yeah, I guess it's
Yeah,
3, I believe.
I'm gonna be like, Morwen, hold this for me.
Oh, sure. I try some.
Yeah.
You drink it, and what hits your mouth, it's almost like bitter chocolate, like baking chocolate, but there's a secondary sweetness as you swallow it, where it comes up and is almost like almost more like a malted like a frap almost in the finish of it. And then at the very, very end, it's like fireworks of like a chipotle kind of pepper that very quickly fades. Very clean finish.
I'm gonna down in one of them.
Make a Constitution check at advantage. So you are a dwarf, and you have dwarven Constitution against poison.
Oh.
I'm not chugging. I'm just sipping.
That was 19 plus whatever my con is. I think it's 3.
So Guntir holds the
Yeah.
beard in one hand and just one go pulls this entire thing. A little bit of froth and foam coming into the beard.
Sounds like an expensive thing to chug. Like a
Yeah,
frap.
I'm gonna put it back down.
Like,
Frap some.
like,
Okay, and you can see Guntir's belly like a little bit more swollen than before. It's certainly filling, but it tastes great.
All right, pass me the other one. You get a sip. You try it.
yeah, it's yummy.
Alright.
There you go.
All right, now I can carry them. Let's go.
Okay. Wait, don't you want to take the cup? You paid for it.
Oh, you want it? I got 2 more.
No, I this one.
Okay.
Maybe Shae or Heinrich will like it. Yeah, we'll just.
Okay, so you're
Thank
taking all
you.
these commemorative cups. It's like leaving the movie theater after you've stood in line for like episode 1 of Star Wars. That's really dating. Because we didn't know how bad it would be. So, you guys emerge and kind of return. Are you guys, where are you guys trying to meet up? Or you guys didn't really discuss
I guess we're going to we're going towards the pillar of stairs now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm, taking my 2 road beers and, sip them
Double
along the
fisted.
way.
Got my little.
Anything, and as you drink it, it's like an apple brandy. It has like this deep spice of almost like a cider, and for some reason, just the way that it's made or fermented, there's a little bit of carbonation almost to it. You can feel this kind of like a almost flat seltzer, just a little bit of a fizz to it. It's great. You guys progress. Heinrich and Shae, when you leave the Gentle Repose, where are you destined?
A lookout area where we inevitably will see the standing outness of at least Guntir.
Do you think he's
if
the
I
one
don't,
who'd stand out more?
yeah, well, you're a black cat, and I don't know, you're good at hiding. So I'm
Yes.
used to not looking for you because I know I usually can't find you anyways.
Okay, fine.
But if I remember correctly, the Gentle Repose is kind of like up and back, right? So we would come to like a little bit of an overlook.
A little bit, but at the
Over.
distance that it's separated, I mean, you see like ruined buildings, and you can see a lot of like little statues in the dark. But you could make a perception check. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll just try to find them, and if not, we'll look for the trail that they leave.
Sure.
Probably annoyed or angry people, or people having a great time, or something.
Really depends on the
I
rolls.
don't. I close my eyes. I actually just say, "Shae, you do it for me," because I rolled a 1.
Nice.
We should find them. You know how good I am at this.
Heinrich gets down on his hands and knees and begins to search the ground carefully.
So 26.
Okay, so you can see Heinrich kind of looking, and based on the level of his head, he's just looking into darkness. Probably can't really see that much. But you step forward and you take a long look. You let your eyes adjust. You kind of become used to the sounds around you, and you don't see any signs of Morwen or Shae.
Oh, Guntir.
They're pretty far away.
Probably best to make our way back toward the center of things.
Sure. I mean, there was the Cold Rot clan's hideout, that marketplace-looking thing. Someone said gambling den. Why don't we go check that out?
I remember an overlook where we watched Guntir make a mess of things before. Perhaps there.
Near the stairs? Sure.
Okay, yeah, sure. So you guys begin to travel towards Shae, where you remember not an overlook necessarily, but there was this kind of outcropping from the stairway pillar that you had used to spy on all the forces guarding it before you allied yourself, before Guntir just talked his way through. Um, no problem. You can find it because it is a really high point. It kind of leaps out at you. It's almost natural that you look for them, and you can climb it without issue. Using your perception check from before, you can see the area around the base of this tower. There are no more goblins. You can see pretty much that entire contingency is gone. The members of the Bearded Consortium and the Stone Guard that had come from Colcheram or had fled, they're no longer present. You see a lot of cold rot clad people. You can see here and there's nobody in full plate, but you can see scale mail, and you can see here and there no leather. It's all generally metal based, but you can see the fist with the entwined loop of this barbed wire and the big war hammer behind it that is the sigil of the Cold Rock clan. It's almost entirely them.
I feel like they're bound to show up here eventually.
Alright, seems like a good enough place to wait.
Okay. You spend a little bit of time waiting, and Shae, fairly quickly, maybe 20 minutes based on where
Plus, we're drinking and taking a leisurely pace.
yeah, because you guys are kind of just sipping and talking, maybe 30 minutes pass. But you can see and hear Guntir and Morwen approach. Guntir has like one empty beer thing under his arm and is now, working his way through the second.
That was actually the third time that I was attempted poisoned. But the first time I didn't notice until later on.
I mean, 3 times out of how many? 3 times out of how many times?
Well, that I lost track of. But
well, cheers! Cheers to poison.
Ah.
And you drink. Make a Constitution saving throw, Guntir.
It was a dirty 20.
So as you're talking to Guntir, he's kind of hobbling along at first, but there's a noticeable kind of lop in the gait, and Gunter's like, these are tall. These are like 2 drinks each, so you're probably like 4 drinks deep. It is 11 a.m. in the morning, and you're feeling great. You're not drunk necessarily, but you feel loose. You can see Gunter's kind of there's a little bit of a swagger in his step. But yeah, so you come, Shae, you see them. They do not see you.
In all fairness, drinking at 11's not like...
No, it's not atypical for you guys. No. I mean, your first drink was at 2 a.m. technically. This is not beginning of your drinking.
We're continuing the party.
Woohoo!
So Shae, do you make them aware of your presence, or?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're just
Alright, Guntir, you gotta keep your wits up though, buddy. You gotta do the talking. I'm not good with this stuff.
Don't worry. I'm not worried about that.
Alright.
Walk up, and as you do, you can see a number of these dwarves take notice of you. One of them approaches. He has this it's like a flat metal helmet it's very angular in its appearance. It comes to like a very typical knight visor, but there is no visor. It's just a helmet that has like a space open. Wearing ringmail with this one plate mail pauldron and the cloak kind of behind it, dark blue, almost navy. You actually found a similar one in the house that you broke into. But he approaches and holds out a hand.
Hey!
Who's approaching?
Well, I'm Guntir, and this is Morwen. We're looking for,
Guntir and Morwen from the Finger Gang.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, okay, hang on. You're the ones that were all... Hey, guys, this is them over here. And you can see, oh, okay. And like a couple of people kind of look and point.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, Gruenfar is waiting for you, and the big guy.
Yeah. So
great. Go on in. And,
wow.
Where's Helia?
We got her,
right
but
here.
we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
What do you? Oh, she's somewhere else right now, and You're just kind of the first two.
In
I
a
think there's
sense.
supposed to be like 5 or 6 of you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd like to talk to what's his name first.
Yeah, we've got to. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
they're waiting for you, so go on ahead.
All right. Well, we'll see you probably never again.
And you walk off, and he just has a weird look as you go. You can see he's kind of twisting one of the braids of his beard, but you walk by, and you walk through a whole bunch of different doors. There's probably like 13 or so of them out there. A few of them are breaking down the barricades that have been built in case there was an invasion. The material seems to be being repurposed for something else. But no problem. You walk. One
All
moment.
right. That was a close one, huh?
Shae, for what it's worth, you watch as Guntir and Morwen have a brief interaction, and then, without any issue, just walk past all of these cold rots and into the pillar of stairs that you had so long ago trekked through. Are you and Heinrich doing anything?
I'm content to sit and wait a few minutes just to see how this goes.
A couple
Okay.
minutes later, we come sprinting out.
Yeah, I was
everyone's
about to
chasing
say,
us.
we're like,
Yeah.
I don't
think
know
we'll
how
just
you
kinda
feel about
let
it.
them be done with their job.
Yeah.
Oops, this is the wrong one. So, yeah, I know, I hit the wrong one accidentally.
They
It
really
got-
classed up. this
Yeah, I
one.
know. They're really, yeah, it went from like a military encampment to like a really nice kind of like, yeah, it's a gala.
Classy
You see
place.
people in cocktail dresses and tuxedos. It's beautiful. Okay, so, sorry for that. You enter. You remember the old kind of broken staircase with this moth-eaten, ratty carpet that ascends, dark red with gold, little bits of, or yellow now, faded away, bits of embellishments along the sides. They're stone steps, but covered in this kind of runner. You walk up and you come to a long passage with a door at the end and a door on the right. The door at the end is open. The door on the right is open. That mirror that you had seen previously is gone. It is a little bit cleaner. You do notice there is elements of kind of blood that has dried and then been hastily cleaned on the floor. The conflicts did not end after you walked through, but it seems to have been made relatively safe and a little bit cleaner. You walk further. Let me just get my notes here. Okay. So, are you just going to kind of trace your way back as you first went through?
I feel like
You want
probably
to stop and check out the bathroom, or?
probably just climb up the stairs and be like, Dunva, we're here!
Okay. So you
You're not even trying names anymore. You're just
blah 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 blah. We're here.
you walk, your voice echoing through the small stone hallways of this place, and you begin to ascend the stairs. You come to the archway of what you know to be the elemental Moida hole. The large, strangely shaped, arcanely guarded room. And as you approach, you hear, for the two of you actually, a familiar voice from around the other end of the hallway. That'll be far enough. Just one moment. Don't want you all being melted or frozen or anything like that. And as you look up, you can see, dressed in much more combat-ready gear, Grunvar Coldrot. You can see immaculately well-manicured beard that extends just to mid-chest, very short for a dwarf. Now, small beads of silver with a little bit of a bluish metal worked into geometric patterns around, binding the beard down to a small point. He wears an intricate iron cuirass, like this kind of vest almost, but iron plate mail, with decorative silver chains, 3 on each side that link to elements of the breastplate, which has that clan cold rot hammer emblazoned on the front. He doesn't wear a cloak anymore, but you can see there is leather armor underneath this one piece of iron over breeches that suggest like a much more combat-ready ensemble. There are 2 hand axes that the handles protrude in an X from behind him on the belt. You can see the handles are iron-tempered in a heat to give it a similar metallic blue sheen. He seemed kind of holds up a hand, disappears out of sight. You hear the sound of a metal lever just descend. And suddenly, along the pathway in the middle of the hallway, the stone floor separates slightly, and these walls, they come up and rise, creating a corridor. There's still maybe like a foot gap where, if you wanted to, you could peek over at the elements that would fire elemental bolts at you. But it provides you a safe corridor to walk down.
All
You see
right.
Grunvar appear on the other end and take a couple steps into the chamber. So you've returned, but where's Helia?
Well, we've got some good news and some bad news. Is
Oh, wait,
Doldrum
just a
here?
minute. Yeah, he is. Let me go and get the old man.
Yeah, he's gonna want to hear this. It's
I
not
imagine
good.
so.
Yeah.
And he turns, kind of squints for a moment and stops. Whatever it is that you're here to tell him, be very careful.
Maybe
Yeah.
we should just tell you first. Maybe we'll just tell you first.
Just a
Helia
moment.
died.
He walks. He's already walking. Disappears down that hallway. You know roughly where he goes because you have progressed up this entire structure. But you hear two sets of footprints returning. You see Grunvar return, and then as he steps into view behind him, you can see a different figure emerge, much shorter. Only a foot taller than Kevin the Kenku, maybe like 3 feet tall in total, steps this ancient dwarf. His face is a knot of scar tissue and liver spots that lend the skin this appearance of almost lumpy clay. The nose is bulbous, and you can see broken veins across the bridge. But the beard and hair are still mostly black, just streaks of gray peppered in. The beard twists down its 6 large braids, each capped by white gold and iron piece of metal like an inch long. He wears a full black set of plate mail, and Guntir, you notice it shifts quietly as he moves, making much less noise than you'd expect. The chest piece is an ornate closed fist with 2 twists of barbed wire that entwine over it in an arc. That an inverted warhammer sits behind the fist. You see these 2 massive gauntleted hands, way too large for the dwarven body that they are attached to. These chains of black iron linking each knuckle together on the gauntlets. The massive armored fingers of one of them encircled around a long black handle of a hulking warhammer that, if placed on its head, would be taller than this dwarf himself. Despite his apparent age, there are brilliant sapphire eyes that gleam from within the wrinkled sockets. They're almost identical to Helia's. And
I'm
for a
intimidated.
moment, you're not there. Oh, wait.
I
Yeah,
am.
it's you and Guntir, yeah. So,
Yeah.
Morwen, for you in particular, there's a chill that runs through your remembering Helia's. Especially in the moment right before she had asked you about losing friends.
And before she stabbed me.
You can see Doldrum looks at Grunvar and kind of nods. And Grunvar says, I'll make sure that nobody interrupts. I'll be just down the hall. And he walks away, and you're left alone with this burly, black-armored dwarf whose eyes now take you all in. And a moment passes. It stretches out. And all of you realize, Guntir, you and Morwen realize, that even though he's definitely shrunken with age, partially because of the hulking armor, but also the weight of this look, he seems to almost loom over you, even from below. He looks first at you, Morwen, and then the eyes turn to you, Guntir. So, what news have you brought from above?
Well, we come bearing some sad news. But it's got a silver lining, as it were, which I will now explain to you in more detail.
Before you go on, speaking in halting tones, understand the kind of mood that I'm in. For 6 centuries, before there was even a ring of gold, I watched the whole clan locked up, and one by one, their forges extinguished. From behind the barred walls of the darkest parts of the halls of atonement, I watched the world forget our name. And he lets go of the hammer. It obliterates the tile beneath him. The gray rock just cracks upwards. It sinks almost 3 inches in. And he steps towards you, Guntir. I buried the woman that helped me rebuild my clan. Traded her life for her last child, who I'm hearing a bunch of nonsense about rescuing orphans. None of it true. So tell me. And he grabs you by the edges of your leather armor, Guntir. What happened to my girl? In the eyes, you can see just little bits of tears kind of coming to the corners.
She died a noble death, but she was slain by Sirenscape.
You said
And
Helia. And he lets go of you.
I'm gonna hand him the urn.
I'm gonna start crying. It's really sad to me, and I have a lot of mixed emotions, so I start crying.
We are truly so very sorry.
Holds up a hand. You can see massive. Like this one hand could encircle the entirety of this urn that you hold with both. And he holds it up, and you can see it shakes. The metal links jingling a little bit with the weight of it. And he takes the urn from you and holds it in his hands. You know, I named her after my wife. I never thought I'd have to mourn the same name again.
I'm gonna
She was my youngest. She was supposed to mourn me. And he just
I'm gonna-
looks at this urn.
try to pat him on the shoulder and be
I'm gonna
like,
touch him. I'm
her
just
death, her death was not in vain.
So
Well,
Guntir,
we
you
have-
pat him.
Good news.
You can
Wait,
see,
how-
you hear the metal kind of grind a little bit against the metal of the urn. You can see the eyes harden. You didn't bring my girl back alive.
Well, in
So
fact,
what good news could there be? You preserved the life of the tyrants above.
well, here's the thing though. Helia, in her final moments, saw past the centuries of hatred and animosity between your people and the ones above, and gave herself up for the greater good of all of dwarven kind. And with that, because I am, I'm more in line with your thoughts and your way of thinking. She was really good friends with Helia too at the end, so she'll back me up. But
I'm just bawling. Wet fur.
But,
Oh,
He doesn't even look at Morwen. He was just bawling. You saw one paw tap him and then just tears. But Guntir, you can see the eyes never leave you. Go ahead and make a deception check.
Oh, good lord.
you know, like, cool. All right, that's well, it's 19 plus
Oh shit.
25.
Oh shit.
He holds this urn in his hands. He stares at you. You can feel these sapphire daggers just tearing into your eyes, past them, through your mind, and into your soul. He seems to regard you, looking for truth. And then he breaks this gaze first. Why would you do that?
Well, if I may speak on her behalf, she, having dealt with the evil of Sirenscape and seen what it had done to the people up above, they were just as bad for wear as yourself and the rest of the Cold Rot clan. So, in her final moments, she was pivotal in our defeat of Kindscale, in the hopes that you could forge on anew with the people above and put the past behind you to try and find some common ground, as it were. As we are all dwarves, and our time has come to put our own differences aside for what will be a very, very bad war to come.
You can see he's still looking down. You can't see his eyes anymore because they're cast at this obsidian, sapphire encrusted urn.
Guntir's just like,
Helia did that.
yep.
You can see now on the stone these 2 tears drop and sink into the stone that makes up the floor of this place. Grunvar. Grunvar! And you see suddenly, just hurrying from the direction he came, Grunvar appear. Yes, Doldrum, what is it? And you can see hand almost, like, not on the hilt of one of these hand axes, but close. Find 3 people that you trust and prepare yourselves to go upwards. We'll have words with the gold glows. If Helia thought that this was important, we need to see it through.
And let it be known that her death is what ultimately got you a seat at the table.
Dwarf, don't tempt me. And he takes the first few steps away, and you can hear over his shoulder, he says, my heart can't take it. And he
I understand.
continues walking. You hear these massive footsteps. The chains on the knuckles rattling with each step slowly disappear. And suddenly you can see Grunvar, this carefully sculpted appearance, suddenly break with relief.
I'm gonna turn to Morwen and be like,
Oh. I must say, that was pretty amazing.
yeah, not a big deal. Pretty amazing. Yeah.
I don't think you understand how important those words were that you just spoke. The rumors of Helia's death have reached us. A very odd circumstance. These acolytes from above came singing the praises of Helia, the savior of orphans.
Yeah, we embellished a little because, we wanted to make the
It
gold glows
seems
feel
you
really bad.
embellished a lot.
Well, we wanted to make the gold glows feel really bad about the fact that they were saved by a cold rot who they had vanished down below. So, we were thinking for you guys.
Understand.
I didn't want to say it to him, but,
Before you came and said the words that you said, all of our efforts over the past 2 days have been geared towards a possible war with those above.
that's what it looked like.
Maybe there is no avoiding it, but Guntir, you certainly took a first step.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you because he's in mourning, but...
He reaches behind him and pulls out a fairly large bag.
Oh.
You can hear full of coins.
Oh.
You've helped me out a great deal, too. Before all of this, Doldrum and I were not exactly seeing eye to eye. I may have made a mistake or 2, but who doesn't?
Yeah.
So thank you.
No
And he
problem.
hands you this bag.
Oh, thank you. We'll split it.
Again, Guntir.
And Morwen.
Cat Lady Morwen. Thank you. If the Cold Rots can provide some help, just let us know. But from Doldrum, understand that a favor is never free.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Kind of defeats the purpose of a favor, but okay.
What I'm saying is, come find me if you want to ask for a favor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll be at the Dark Hive.
So, before we go, just remember, diplomacy. Before, because we saw some stuff. And it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
What do you mean?
Well, we stopped time scale, but the world is changing, and we as dwarven kind must be prepared. I kind of alluded to that when I was talking to him, but he kind of is grieving.
For all the centuries that Koldaram has stood, that the Undercity has stood, many of the other Kols have come and gone. Kol Ersatz, the Citadel of Salt after a fashion, even Stoneflow, I would argue, not really dwarven anymore. But we still stand.
Yeah, but it
We'll
got
be
pretty
okay.
close. Yeah, but you wouldn't have been if it wasn't for us in Helia. It's just kind of what I'm saying.
Okay,
And we're appreciative.
I'm just gonna start.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Diplomacy.
Guntir's beginning to be pushed a little bit away. But he nods
Alright.
and
We'll see you at the Dark Hive eventually.
just tell Yambo that you're friends of mine and he'll let you right in.
Alright.
Ooh, fun.
Well, good luck with the diplomacy. And, give our condolences again.
I think I'll be steering clear of Doldrum for a bit, but
We are too.
thank
Bye.
you. You guys walk away.
Oh.
Shae, about 10 minutes pass, and Heinrich, you would see also Guntir and Morwen leave. Actually, before that, Shae, you would see exiting this tower, this massively armored, short, ancient dwarf. Makes Guntir look kind of young. As he exits, as he exits, you can see everything stop. It's as if every single person, all 13 or 14 of these cold rot dwarves, are holding their breath. He doesn't move, he doesn't say anything for almost an entire minute. And then he begins to walk in the direction that you would know the Dark Hive to be. And one by one, those dwarves kind of drift off after him. It is quiet. But suddenly, the pillar of stairs is abandoned. And then, Morwen and Guntir come out.
We come out, and I'm like, as soon as we get out the door, I open up the bag, and then we're both looking in it, ooh.
Your heads into the bag,
Yeah.
and it is about 200
We
pieces.
high five each other.
Alright,
Yeah.
so let's split it 50-50. Well, 100-100. But, yeah.
Well, isn't there a gambling situation? Why don't we just?
Oh!
I feel
Well,
like
I
as
mean, I guess if
soon
we go to the
as
Dark Hive.
Guntir and Morwen would have emerged, I would have come down.
Okay.
Alright, quick, let's go before Shae and Heinrich find us.
Yeah,
you
they
don't hear
need to know.
Shae
They don't
come
need to know about
down
this.
from the lookout point, but you do hear Heinrich quietly walking as the chains kind of
Quick,
make enough
go.
noise.
Go, go, go!
Stash the gold.
Stash the gold!
Yeah, we're gonna.
Shae, with your passive perception, you see Guntir take this bag that he was looking into, close it, you hear ching, 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 and ching, as he puts it behind him, you hear the coins all rattle together. You know it's there.
All right, be cool. Be cool.
Alright. Oh, should we...
Success.
Mm.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, we
Yes.
we're good to go. Ern's gone.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're good to go.
Yeah, Guntir, stopped a war.
Yeah, I did a good job. You guys didn't even see.
Yeah, impressive.
I
Congratulations.
trust
Yeah,
you
it's,
take
it's,
care of
I was a little tipsy, to be honest. I think
My
that
face is
helped.
still just
Yeah.
drenched.
it.
Yeah, Guntir, a big part of your ability to do that was probably the liberal amounts of alcohol that you
Liquid
applied
luck.
to yourself before.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Little.
very good news.
Congratulations.
Should we be on our way now?
Yeah,
Do you-
congratulations.
Anything else?
Did you return your key?
Yeah. Oh, Morwen, actually,
Yes.
Cinder wanted me to give this to you as like a memento. She seemed to think you know something about it. I'm not even sure if she's the one who's giving it to you or
I
one
love
of
gifts.
the
Give me.
one of the ghosts or something. And I just give you the.
Oh, you got a
You
ghosty
snatch
gift?
it out, and in your hand you hold this. It's like a woven patch. It's in the shape of a ladder.
Pale.
You just see Gunter's whole face drop, both eyes, don't like crazy eyes, and then they settle.
You okay, Gunter?
Is this cursed? I'm gonna dangle it a little.
She said it was for you, but why are you reacting like this, Gunter?
Do you know what this is?
Maybe.
Make an intelligence check.
Wait, so what is it? It's like an embroidered patch of
Yeah.
like a.
Oh, I
It's a
remember.
good, yeah. It's a
Like
Girl
it
Scout
was
badge.
yesterday with a 21.
Suddenly, you see Gunter's eyes open, and Gunter, you are brought back almost 100 years to this one fateful evening in Mudtown. Within the Alchemist Association, you, along with Meliora, the Eladrin, and Gildus, the rogue inquisitive, you made your way. Wow, I remember a lot of stuff. You made your way in and horribly bungled a heist for the Wolf, an infamous, for a time, crime figure. You remember the moment that you saw Useful Scott, already very badly injured, suddenly get hit with this beam, and it almost is kind of like, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark, just away and is banished. And he never returned. And you remember as he was banished, on the right shoulder of that robe that he wore, Useful Scott, with the robe of useful items, a very similar ladder patch.
Oh, Scott.
Who's Scott?
Excuse me.
He was, an accomplice of mine. Hey, back.
You look.
Are you
little
saying
shaken.
that this is like related to him? Is
Well,
She said it was from one of the. Well, it was from the house, and I'm taking it as from one of the ghosts that she claimed was there that we never saw.
Joe? Is your buddy over there?
yes, I think maybe.
Introduce us. I've been dying to see a ghost. Come on, man.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that he's been like a ghost for probably about like 100 years, 97 years maybe. It's been a while. I don't know if he'd remember. And
142
Also-
years.
142. How
Clearly,
does
someone remembered something, and this random piece of fabric was given
did that
intentionally.
Did Shinda say that, how come this is a physical thing?
Well, she did wish that you guys were there to, or at least Morwen was there so she could give it to her. But I mean, if this is important, because it seems like it's stirring you up pretty good, we could kind of pit stop on the way out. You could ask your questions.
Wouldn't be bad. I could thank him, personally or directly for,
Alright.
odd gift.
I'm gonna message to Shae. Sorry about. I thought I was cutting time by splitting up the party, but apparently not.
We'll make it quick. I just want to ask her a couple questions. And then we gotta go, because we gotta get the teleport. We're gonna be late. That guy seemed like...
We're not going
would
there.
be-
We're not going on the teleporter. For now.
We're going to Squall's End, Gunter.
Oh, yeah. Well, we gotta get going.
Yes.
So,
Oh, by the way, got you guys novelty bugs.
Oh, yeah. The Cold Rods
Oh.
gave them to us for helping them.
Sure.
There's
What was in the
still
bag,
damp.
Guntir?
They're still a little sticky on the inside, but you can see a little sharp the rim. But you would imagine if it was kind of like sanded down, it would
Use
make
the
a pretty good.
decanter to stream it.
Okay. You pop open the little cork and you whisper a word, and water emerges endlessly and fills this
Just kinda
small contraption.
Clean it out and then throw it in the bag.
What about the bag behind your
It's
back,
like
Guntir?
Oh, he's always got that
Am
bag.
I my satchel?
No, the one that you had when you came out of the pillar.
Oh, you mean the bag of many things?
No.
Oh, you mean the bag with all of the animals that I can pull out of them?
Gunter has a lot of bags.
You've got a lot of baggage.
Oh, you mean my bag of old jerky?
No.
Oh, I don't know which bag you're talking about. Must not be real. Okay, let's go.
And with that, Gunter about faces, and you all return in the direction of the Gentle Repose. But because it is 10 o'clock, we're going to take a quick break so that we can use the facilities and all that kind of fun stuff. In the meantime, now would be a great time to check out our YouTube, which is also Alberon RPG. Every single session that we have ever streamed, including the one-shots, are now up there. And to make your life even easier, there is now a playlist for all of the sessions in order. And a playlist for all of the one-shots, which are all original and set in canon to this campaign. Useful Scott actually is a NPC from the one-shot set in your backstory, Gunter's Mudtown Madness. So, or Mudtown Gambit.
Gambit.
I should know. I
It
wrote
was
it.
a gambit.
It was. A
It
gambit.
was madness, though.
There was some madness. There was some madness. There was some death. There
There's a
was
little bit of madness
guest
with
player
there.
Michael with 3 different characters because it was pretty brutal. Yeah, I had to go to like the last character that he had was like an old gnome who like actually had like a form of dementia, and so was like just wandering around the hallways, just lost. But that's what happens when you have, systems of power that are really broken and allow people to stay in power for way too long. It's in no way an analogy to real life. So
Breaking the chains of oppression.
it is 10:03. We'll be back at 10:15. We'll see you then. and welcome back to Adventures in Alberon. Thank you for sticking with us through the break, those of you that did. I wanted to say thank you, of course, to Talon for the bits, and also to Bugger Rosie, maybe I'm saying that correct, for the bits as well. They really, really help. As I said last week, I am moving literally tomorrow, which is why I don't have my dice and why I have nothing. But one of the cool things about that is it gives us space for us to actually build a set, which is going to look super cool. And the bits and the donations and buying stuff from the store, which is there's a link down below, and there's t-shirts. All of that kind of stuff really, really helps. It's going to let us do some really cool stuff. I'm going to get to go to full 3D terrain because I'm going to make a 3D printer farm so that we could just churn it out. But that's going to be super cool, and it means I won't have to hand draw 3 to 5 encounter maps every week. So my hands are going to stop hurting, which is amazing. It's been years since I've felt anything of these, so that's going to be really cool. And the bits, all that kind of stuff really helps. So thank you. So we'll just jump right back into this here. So when we left off, Guntir, you had just essentially averted a war, utilizing powers of diplomacy previously unseen from Guntir. But you guys decided, after having that tense emotional conversation with Grunvar, that you would make your way back to the Gentle Repose to examine the source of a patch that was left for you, Morwen. You begin to walk, and seeing as how you had just come from there, easy enough to find. Guntir, for you and Morwen, you remember this desolate place here and there. These statues, really realistic statues, some missing limbs and things, just passing quietly like ghosts. But you reach the Gentle Repose, the welcoming red awning, and you all enter.
I guess so.
I already said bye. It feels awkward. I might wait outside.
From what I recall, didn't
I
we
mean, think about you
also,
walk in the same direction.
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
we
just gonna
also
be like,
rent a room and then just not stay in it? And
You did,
stay
but
in the-
Heinrich paid for all of those, so.
I know, but it's just funny that you paid for a room.
Hunter
you
stayed
never-
outside.
Well, I did too, and
So
that's
did
how.
Morwen.
Yeah.
I
what's his
supported
name
a
found
business,
us.
is how you should really
Sure.
be saying it.
Yeah.
I supported a struggling small business in a terrible location run by a single
We did too by
tirelessly working person
destroying
who
the
was
dragon that
ostracized from
was.
society.
So, do you guys enter the Gentle Repose?
Yeah.
As you enter, sure, within, you can see from behind the desk, not looking at first, she kind of drops her head, immediately walks out very briskly, hand behind her back, and she says, "Welcome to,
It's us.
Guntir and Morwen. Morwen! I actually just gave something to
Yeah, we got
Heinrich.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure
wonderful.
were.
Yes, that. When you left, you had actually, I think, stirred up quite a bit of ruckus with the residents of this place, and
Ooh.
It's not give you that.
I believe this entity does go by the name Scott.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that he left this behind. It was on the floor in the common room, maybe 6 hours after you left.
Oh, how fun! Well, I wanted to say thank you.
I got a couple questions.
You're very welcome, and of
Oh
course.
no, I
what
meant
could
to Scott.
Oh,
No, thank you too, though. Thank you too.
again, welcome. Well, Guntir, you had questions.
Yeah. So how did this come into physical being from ghosts?
Well, that's a bit of a story. And from behind her, the hand emerges, and she's suddenly holding this tankard of water. And she takes a sip. The other hand goes behind her back. The residents of this place, though they are spectral in nature, are able to interact with the physical world from time to time. Some emotional events will draw them forth. There have been those when this place was a little bit newer and more frequented, who would come in and attempt to contact them through seances and elaborate ceremonies, and they did work sometimes. But occasionally, they can leave things. Typically, this would mean there needs to be some kind of an unusual circumstance to their death.
Okay.
But up until now, I never heard much more than the name Scott and some, almost as if this individual was lost.
Yeah.
Can you perform
Makes sense.
seances?
Seances, no. Unfortunately, that, for the most part, falls outside the realm of my abilities. If you had a body, perhaps.
So,
Do you have a body?
Well, my own.
yeah.
Well, I don't believe we can get Scott through that, but
Oh no, that. Oh,
So wait.
oh, how about this? I bring out Frank.
Oh,
the
yeah.
old skull appears. I could, perhaps I could speak to whoever owned that at one point, or at least a guise
no.
of their spirit.
Could you put
No.
Scott in Frank?
Yeah, Frank, would you be okay with that?
Like, if you
Says
could,
it's fine. Says
if
it's fine.
Scott can
I
get
gotta roll something here real quick.
Scott can't just come back over himself.
Well, I believe, to be quite honest, whatever it was that you all did when you originally searched for the spirits did indeed provoke them, and that is why we've had such a bumpy time over the last couple of days. There are ways to contact spirits, but for Scott, unfortunately, a little bit out of the realm of my ability at current.
When you say bumpy times, I mean, was it like, did we piss him off? Because I was
Oh.
trying to say hi.
If you go up to the second room on the left, which I've recently unlocked and which was never stayed in actually, there's still quite a mess.
Maybe
Yes.
they were partying.
Scotty.
They didn't pay, so it is a little bit irritating, but nevertheless,
Oh, it wasn't us?
no,
Oh, and it wasn't Scott?
that I cannot tell you.
Oh. Scotty.
I must ask, it seems as if you know this entity.
No.
Curious. So what do you know about him?
I know that he's probably the one. He probably is lost. He's kind of a goofball.
Well,
Right.
he's dead because he appeared here as a spirit, so lost in maybe a metaphorical sense.
Oh, so you mean like, okay, so his body is I think it was 142 years ago.
Can we see the room?
If you would
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah,
yes,
let's
it's-
go check
again,
out for Scott purposes.
it is unlocked and open, so be my guest. It is, of course, a mess, but should you need anything else, I will be here.
All right, well, let's go.
Okay.
As you make your way up the staircase beyond the desk, you can see as soon as you get up beyond the desk. The second room, when you come upstairs, the door is ajar. You can easily enter. The wall, it's actually almost like a wallpaper here, peeling at the very edges, kept very nice, clearly cared for in the middle, but the edge is old and they can't help but start to fall away from the wall. You can see there was a bed at one point. It seems to have been sheared in half, not cut. It's not like a clean. It looks as if it was broken. The sheets themselves are bundled up and to the right. You can see there was at one point this nightstand that is now legless, just a piece of wood settled on the ground. You can see, make a perception check, Guntir.
That's 4 plus 9, so 13. Passive.
Still, dang, look at that. Okay, so looking around, kind of taking these things in, you see bits of broken glass. You can see elements of, at one point, what was probably a frame, now twisted, a metal frame that's twisted, the canvas inside torn and broken, and you can't see what it was. But it looks like whatever it was that was here did a pretty good job on this room.
All right.
I think this is just a party. I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, Scott is here.
Scott.
Is
Make a
Scott?
persuasion check. Morwen.
Who? Okay.
Morwen. And Guntir, if you also calling for Scott.
That's a 16.
Okay.
Mine's a 19.
Okay. You call out and look about this room. You can see here and there on the walls these elements that have been scratched by things being flung against it, but you don't see Scott.
Well, wish I could help you, buddy.
She said like seance stuff, right? So I'm just gonna
Seance.
Is there a candle somewhere?
Not immediately within the room.
Okay.
You got any torches?
Yeah. I just, okay. So I light up a torch.
Okay. In the middle of this ruined hotel room, you pull out this large cumbersome
Controlled
torch.
fire.
It blazes to light as it is.
I didn't
smeared
know
in
you
pitch
knew how to
burn.
say it.
No, I mean I just, you hear
Black
stories.
smoke rises off the
And
fire,
so-
and you can see it kind
Then
of
I'm gonna-
probably
I'm
will
gonna put
eventually
the,
hang in the wall.
I'm gonna take out the patch and put it on the floor and sit on the floor. I'm just gonna be like, put my hand on the patch. Scott, if you're here, what's up?
Scott.
Morwen, go ahead and roll a D100 for me.
How do I read that?
It's this one.
What did I do wrong?
It's
It's
like
fine.
first
D100s are
You
hard.
use two of the percentiles to roll D100.
Yeah.
27.
There you go.
27. Okay. You put your paw down on this patch, you hold the torch in one hand. Guntir, to you, you can see the ponytail and the kind of silhouette of Morwen from in front of the flame. For a time, you sit there, you let that question linger in the air, but that's all that's in here is air. You don't sense Scott's presence.
All right, I'll put out the torch.
You douse the torch.
I'll
and,
go open
it's
up
all
a-
dark.
Is there a window?
Yeah, there's a window.
I'm gonna open the window, let the smoke out. I imagine
You
that it's
unlatch
probably
the
like
window and
we're
pop it
probably
open.
suffocating in this room at that point.
It's not like you're suffocating, but it is very smoky in here. And so from anyone on the outside would see, it's like, a bunch of college kids just opened a party window and just the smoke comes out.
Ah,
Well, we
all right.
tried.
Well,
Gotta put it all
yeah,
away.
we tried. So here's the thing. How are we gonna get to go and gamble? Gotta.
I
Gotta-
mean, maybe we just, have to go check something out that,
At the Dark
Uh,
Hive.
Grunvar told us to check out.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll scope it out.
Yeah.
That's
You know.
all right. So
And
if
I
they ask
agree,
any
we
questions,
shouldn't hang out too long, but
yeah, just
have a little
enough
fun.
to we each have 100, and we will keep it at that.
Okay.
And we will spend no more than 100 each, and whoever gets the most after like an hour or so,
Okay.
then we'll leave, and it'll be just a nice contained little vacation competition.
Yeah.
And Shae and Heinrich do not need to know anything whatsoever about it.
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So if they ask any questions, we gotta go check out this thing for Grunvar.
Yep.
Just
And
quick
maybe
in and
Scott
out.
will be there.
1 hour. Yeah. Hey Scott, if you can hear us, come to the Dark Hive. We're gonna go gambling.
Yeah, we'll give you some of the cut if you help us.
Yeah. Miss you, buddy.
Say this to the air and nothing responds.
Thanks for the patch.
Maybe see you later. Okay. Good luck.
Okay,
You
bye.
let the sound of good luck die in the room before exiting with a patch, but no useful Scott. Make your way back down and out. In the meantime, Heinrich, Shae, are you guys doing anything or just waiting?
I think while waiting, my mind would wander, and I just sort of pull out the candle of the veil and just be looking at it.
Okay.
Just looking at it,
You
Cheats.
pull
thinking
out
about
this
it.
faceted
Put it away.
black candle. Yeah. These old runes carved into the front, and you just put it.
Yeah. It's like, this thing is really handy for contacting the other side. Whoop. And then That's it.
Morwen and Guntir make their way out. You guys are
So
all
rude.
together outside of the gentle repose.
You
Heinrich
seem to
putting
use
something
it.
back
I'm
into his
surprised you guys
backpack.
didn't remember.
Yeah, now I feel like it's cheating for me to all of a sudden remember. So,
Sorry, I don't want to see ghosts. I want to leave.
well then why do you have the candle? Just saying.
We're good.
Fine.
Ready to go?
Yes,
Yeah, I
ready?
suppose. Oh, well.
Yeah, oh yeah. You can tell him.
I'm calling it right now. The way you guys started that, I'm already insight
Make
checking.
an insight check. Yeah.
I'm already insight. Oh yeah.
No, we're ready to go to the, what is it called? The
That's a
beehive?
natural
Alright.
Dark
20.
Hive.
Ready to go to the Dark Hive.
Dirty 20.
Natural
We gotta
20.
go check out the Dark
Oh!
Hive.
We
The
are
two of
ready
you,
to go
as
to the
you're
Dark Hive.
waiting there, as the door opens, you can hear Guntir, the last things trail, never have to know. And then they just walk out. They immediately begin to stutter and look at each other. That exchange happens. And for the two of you, almost without rolling, you know that there's something going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And kind of as they're saying this, Shae, you remember that bag behind Guntir. This seems to be monetarily motivated.
Well, whatever errand you need to do, we're leaving. Now.
Well, but this
No,
is
no.
We're-
No. We're
But
leaving now.
Grandma,
We're leaving now.
No, it's
Leaving
it's
now.
it's
And
it's
I'm
for
walking
Helia
off.
and
for
Grandma.
Helia.
Yeah, we gotta.
Nope.
Grandma,
So you mean to tell
he
me
owes
that
us a
Grunvar-
favor.
You just remembered something Grunvar said that is.
Yeah, he said come to the Dark Hive because he can help us. We gotta go check out, at least check it out. Quick in and out, we promise.
Nope.
Nope.
We're leaving.
From
If
the
it was
distance.
important, we
Nope.
passed it on the way here. Why didn't you just go then?
Well, because we had
didn't
to-
know Scott was alive.
Yes, I
Or
am
whatever.
emotionally.
Poor choice of words.
Yeah.
You know.
We'll revisit Scott later, but for now.
No, we won't, because
we're
Scott's
leaving.
dead.
Yeah, that's really insensitive, Heinrich.
I can't believe that.
If it's
First
more
Helia,
important
now
than a
Scott.
goal or an errand that you needed to run for the uncle of the proverbial underground.
It's not an errand. We gotta. He owes us a favor, so like we're gonna go. We're not coming back here for a while. We
Right,
gotta go
we're
get
not
it.
going back there right now either.
Let's see what he can. Maybe he can help us in our quest.
We'll see you at Squall's End, I guess.
Come on, it's quick in and out, like 40 minutes tops. Wow,
When has
plus
it ever
travel
been
time, like an
quick
hour
with you?
tops.
Gunter, when has it ever been quick with you?
you? Heinrich?
Quick as a cat, and she is a cat.
Can I try to persuade you?
I mean, I'm going to resist.
I'm gonna come over, shoulders, hands on the shoulders, be like, come on, and guidance.
This
mean-
power surges into you.
I'm like, that's cheating, Gunter.
Why?
Well, you all see this.
What
you
am
know
I
exactly
rolling?
what's happening.
What?
Okay, so if
She's
you're
trying
trying
to use panache, am I just rolling like a
Well, I'm
con
trying
or
to
a,
persuade you.
like a charisma save or something?
what I would say is you could either make a charisma save or, and I would say make it at advantage because you've seen Morwen do this to everything from pirates to wyverns. So you
Yeah.
know.
I'm very charming, though.
Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
So
Don't
wait,
forget
am
your
I rolling
guidance.
persuasion, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Plus a D4.
It's a crack die. but-
Okay, no, I'm...
All right, advantage you said? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to start at a 23.
Nice.
Ooh. I rolled 2 14s in a row, and I don't
Nice.
think that's going to beat her 14 plus guidance and whatever
Plus
else.
9.
Yeah. So my plus 9 against her plus 9 was
27.
only beaten by
Because
Gunter's,
of Gunter's guidance.
Gunter's guidance.
You can see as Morwen kind of poses this look in her eyes. It's very Puss in Boots, with big glassy eyes, and you think about Helia. And if this favor is for Helia, it's a hard thing to say no to.
We'll meet you at the entrance to the tunnel. If you're not there in 30 minutes, we're coming to get you.
Oh, plus travel time.
30 minutes. We'll see you there.
45
and
minutes.
I'm turning around
45,
and walking.
45 and some change.
He's old.
I already
so-
walked off. I have no intention of waiting.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's make this real quick.
We're running.
Okay, so you guys
We're
begin
running.
jogging.
We're gonna run. Yeah.
Okay.
You're
I was
like
gonna
run by
say-
me walking at a casual
It's
pace
like
to the.
it's like the Amazing Race right now to get.
Quick, go!
You guys are trying to make it.
Miles with our shopping cart.
You're fucking speed running Las Vegas.
Do me a favor, Guntir and Morwen, each of you make either an athletics or acrobatics check, your choice, for this.
Acrobatics.
You're trying to fold an hour and a half's worth of activities into about half an hour.
Okay. So that's a 27 again for me.
Okay.
Athletics, that's a 15 for old Gunter.
Okay. So you guys hustle. Guntir, doing your best, like 6 a.m. Person speed walking at a mall. You're really just shuffling. You have this pep in your step from all of these great things. You have this renewed confidence. Morwen, you're just naturally pretty quick, and you walking normal pace is Guntir walking fast. So you guys make your way there, no problem. You approach the Dark Hive, this massive pillar. You can see torches secured at various brackets so that it has these little, almost sinister looking like little flames burning here and there. You hear from within voices. You can hear elements of music, actually. Give me just one moment. Here we go. You approach this doorway, and you can see fairly large for a dwarven doorway. 2 doors, wooden within this stone arch. Standing outside, there is, you guys have seen them before, it's a bugbear. Huge, this matted kind of hair, dark brown, pushed up against the body. You can see he's wearing what looks like maybe navy blue. This sort of like a tunic with the cold rot logo kind of emblazoned on the chest. He holds up a hand. What?
Oh, Yambo. Hey, we're here to see Grumvar.
You can see his
Do
eyes
some
narrow.
gambling.
That is very racist. I am not Yambo.
Oh, well, he said.
You know Yambo. Go ahead. And he steps back and opens the door for you.
It wasn't because you.
I just run in.
It was. He
We're on
told
a
us
timer.
to
Fuck that.
ask for to tell Yambo. I thought just that Yambo. You know, I
I'm
thought
just
it was
gonna look at Gunter and try to
yeah, let's
signal.
go. Yeah,
some
sorry, time
raffle.
is of the essence.
I don't know how many
And you
times.
run.
No,
You
you
just
shoot
start.
into the hourglass. You're like.
Oh, time's a wasting.
Sure. So you hustle in to this place. You can see as you enter, it's a very small room. You have to walk up these steps, and as you step, they go from the gray stone of Kol Taram and the Undercity itself, and up into this like dark, glossy stone. Country, you would know that it's marble, but you've never seen marble like this. This is fairly unusual, probably pretty expensive. But it goes up to a fairly small U-shaped desk, and behind it you see another bugbear. You might assume, although you assume everybody apparently, but you might assume that this one is Yambo. But you see behind him, buried into the wall, now this music makes sense, buried into the wall, a huge cleaver. The blade itself probably about like a foot long, a foot wide, fairly sharp, but you would imagine just pure force is used to split things with this, but it is wedged into the wall behind him. He is wearing a black vest, white shirt that is fitted and tailored, but you can see still too short in the sleeves, exposing brown fur down to the hand. You can see the hair on his head has been slicked back, but the rest is still just as furry and matted as the one outside. His eyes look at you. Gunter, with your passive perception, there's a surprising intelligence behind. But these dark, black, beady eyes look at you and then Morwen. Yes.
Are you Yambo?
I am Yambo.
Grumvar said that we should come here and talk to you. We kind of helped him out in a good way, big way. We were hoping to do some gambling in the next 22.5 minutes.
Gambling we can do.
All right, great.
Looks behind the counter and reaches in. How much?
100 each? 100 gold each. We got.
What's the like game?
What's the bet here?
There are, and he goes, because you guys are on a timetable, he quickly explains to you.
Okay.
In the initial sort of lounge, the room that you guys would have access to, there is the dwarven equivalent. There are these like hulking brass, what look like slot machines. They don't have electronic or what look like your rotating kind of dials. It seems to be one big, like a cylinder that is faceted with iron, and there are symbols in dwarven that you can read pretty easily enough. You see, as one spins idly, the word winner kind of pop up, and the rest all various kind of dwarven insults. You would imagine you want the winner one here. You can see there's a cards game, there's a game of King's Cup, which is like a dice game. You can see just a bunch of different games. But for the sake of you guys speed gambling,
Probably the slots.
I think Guntir would like to, after seeing everything, consider what would be the quickest and highest paying game that we could play. So we could just like bet it all and make a bit
all
of
or
a
nothing.
profit, and then just book it out of there.
your eyes search through everything, and
A
you
blackjack or something. Yeah.
you can see, like, way off in the back, there's nobody seated at this table. It is a flat, like, mahogany table with a very, very fine looking black felt atop it. You can see areas that are laid out for coins to be laid, and then behind them a huge wheel. You can see what draws your attention, looks almost like gold plated, just a lot of it. There's a little clicker thing. It's like a Wheel of Fortune style wheel, but vertical. And there are all manners of symbols. You can see a symbol that would indicate to you, Guntir, gold coin. You can see one that seems to have connotations of magic or arcane in terms of the patterns around it. You could see one that is in the shape of a house. There seems to be various prizes. You would imagine that would be a pretty good way of quickly putting all of your money on one bet and seeing what happens.
All right. Do we just go for the big hall here, one and done, or should we spread it out and see what we can do in 20 minutes and some change?
18 minute.
Is this been that long? Oh god.
Oh shit. Okay. Let's do I'll do 2 and you do 2. Okay, 50-50 on all of them. All right. This is-
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Even
All
out.
bets
Spread
across
it out.
the table. That's a
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Give me the money. Let's
Oh.
go.
I'm gonna. Well,
I'll hold on to the money.
And I'm
We'll
running in just
we'll
like.
have the betters do it.
Okay, so you guys run up to this table. You can see gazes follow you. It's not packed by any means. It is, again, like around 1 p.m. But there are people there, for sure. There are a few people at the slots, and they all watch you as you hurry. You get to the table. This prim-looking gentleman... Sorry. Swallowed something weird there. This prim-looking gentleman, perhaps human, maybe a half-elf, although certainly more human in lineage. Very prim-looking, stands there. He gestures grandly as you approach, and he says, "Welcome to the..." And you guys just throw coins. They just go all over the table.
All right. That's 200 gold on the wheel. Four times. 50
Okay, but
$50. Go on bet.
Wait.
You spin the wheel, and you win a prize. You win a prize that is in proportion to what you bet. So you bet
All right.
200 gold.
No.
Oh.
This first
Good.
round we do 50.
50 each time. 50 each time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who will spin?
I'll do the first one.
yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna pat her on the back, guidance.
Uh-oh.
Unfortunately, this is not an ability check. Go ahead. Roll a D100 for me, Morwen.
Guidance.
Okay. I don't know if that's the right music for it, but you know,
It's like cards.
right
No.
music. 52.
He takes a step back, puts his hand on the side of the wheel, and he spins it. You can hear the little clicker kind of You see the huge gold slice tick by. You know that that's not going to be one of them. And you see just a black pie slice. And he looks at you. Sorry, better luck next time. And he pulls.
All right, next time's right now.
I'm gonna,
50.
while this is happening, I try to discern if there's like any sort of mechanism by which it's being cheated or gamed.
From this side of the table, it would be a perception check, and you would only get a general idea, but you can certainly try. Morwen, roll another D100 for me. You throw the coins down.
91.
You can see as this begins to go, there's a chance this gold thing is getting closer and the wheel is slowing. You actually see this gentleman look up, and there is his eyes kind of crease a little bit of worry. The gold goes, you can see that little thing right as it goes, and it bounces back and goes one more over.
Oh, that's so rude.
It lands on this silver sliver. You could see there's actually like a congratulations, you've won. Reaches under the table
Stuffed
and
animal.
pulls out it's a little metal disc. Give this to Yambo when you leave.
Okay.
But congratulations on the 500 gold.
Ooh. I got a natural 20 on the perception check.
Sure. So looking at this, you can kind of get a sense as you hear it. It's more of like you look at it, but your eyes, cataract as they are, don't really take in much. It's the sounds that catch you. Each time that little thing goes by, tick, 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 you get a sense that there's different levels of resistance in each little kind of slice, and so it's heavily weighted towards certain outcomes. You don't get the sense that it could be directly controlled, at least not by this gentleman. Maybe somewhere else there might be a way of doing it. You don't see any obvious sign of it. You said was it a natural 20?
Yes. So it would have been a 29.
You get the sense that this is very much a game that is weighted but not directly controlled.
Okay.
Well, Guntir, since we're already kind of winning, why don't you do the last two rolls and we'll just cash in at least the 500.
You are suddenly aware of this large presence behind you. 10 minutes.
Oh, thanks, Gumbo.
You put 50 down?
Yeah, 50 more.
Make a D100 roll, please.
A D100 check.
D100 check.
Oh, nice. All right, that's 89.
89.
From 91 to 89?
You can see again, it just goes and goes. You can see this time the gold goes by, the silver goes by, it kind of comes around again. You can see he looks a little worried again. It ticks past the gold and past the silver, and you can see a little bit of relief. And it goes to this white little slice. He smiles and nods a little bit. Not as impressive as your friend, but maybe another try. And he reaches down. Oh, and as he's pulling out, he pulls out like 10 additional gold pieces and puts it down, and you immediately shove the gold back. Roll a D100. You can see Yambo behind. 8 minutes.
85.
Again, lands on the white. You're doing very well. Perhaps one more. And he puts 10 more gold out. There's now 70 gold on the table.
Nah.
That's what?
We'll be no. We'll be
That's
here
what-
all night.
what-
No.
pretend,
Okay.
pretend.
Yambo leans over and
We
says,
don't.
"You still have 3 minutes."
3 minutes.
No.
One more.
We gotta cash in.
Put the 70 down and you spin. Go ahead and make your D100 roll.
25.
No.
And you could see it gets about halfway through and it's slowing down, and you can see a little bit of a smirk, and it ticks through and then lands on that black sliver. He takes it. Better luck next time.
Yeah, okay.
Suddenly
Let's run.
you see Yambo, he's about to go, you have, and then you just run. Just go, and you can see, thank you. You just
Thank you.
vanish.
Okay, Morwen, we'll be back sometime.
Don't you have to
And
turn in the coin for?
Wait, don't we have to
Yeah.
exchange the thingy with
If
Yambo?
you, yeah, that would be good if you want your
Yeah,
gold.
that's what I want to do. I'm
Okay.
running to the desk to exchange it. So
You guys
Yambo
wait
better hurry
at the
his ass
desk.
up.
5 or so minutes pass, and Yambo comes up. Oh, you are late.
I give him the bar.
Ah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Takes it. Puts this huge chest on the table. Pulls out this tiny pair of bent glasses and affixes them across the beady eyes. Pulls out a keychain. There's like 30 keys on it.
Oh, this.
I'm
dude.
like so anxious. Sweat.
Not this.
Just pick it.
It opens. The chest opens up. 1.
Can I do it for you, please?
Can I do
No.
Oh, Yambo,
He begins to count out the gold. Meanwhile, Shae and Heinrich, you go and you get to the edge of the tunnel that you said that you would meet them at. Worth noting, with your passive perception, Shae, you do see a familiar Kenku in the streets. He's pushing this wooden cart with a bunch of just like random pieces of shit on it. You see like silverware, you see a cracked saucer, you see what looks like the end of maybe like a quill inkwell, but just kind of junk, and he just goes by. You guys make it to the tunnel without issue. Is there anything that you wish to do while you're waiting?
I have no intention of waiting.
Okay, so
Shae,
then Shae, with your
use them-
speed, actually,
I gave him
you
30
don't.
minutes.
With Shae's speed, you do not catch up to Shae. So Shae is
Okay.
out into the tunnel and progressing.
Okay.
So Heinrich, you would get to the edge of this tunnel alone
Mhm.
and wait. 45 minutes comes and goes.
Well, at 30, I'm gonna get up and start walking.
Okay.
I said 30 minutes. I'm gonna follow through with it.
Okay, so are you going back to them, or are you going?
No.
Okay,
Leave. I said we were
Great.
leaving after 30 minutes.
love it. Okay, so Shae,
Yep.
you are going first. You are going to head out and then in the direction of. So it's easy enough to get out of. You found the path here. You can track your steps back. You would know based on the directions that you had from Nazara, leaving where you entered, you would turn left, follow the mountain, and actually towards a forest that you had kind of overlooked before Guntir made his trip down. And that would be the woods that Nazar had said that dog sled folks would be at.
I'm moving in that direction then.
Okay. You begin to walk. Given your relative speeds, let me do some quick math here. Okay. So Shae, you begin to walk and you make very, very good progress. Let me go ahead and change the music here to something a little bit more appropriate. Not that this is inappropriate for, travel music, but you walk through the snow, and as you emerge again out into the open sky, here and there just bits of clouds. It is beginning to get into the late afternoon, 2 o'clock, probably when you first emerge. You can see the beginnings of the colors of blue turning into darker bits of purple on the horizon. Sunset's not too far away. You begin to walk, and keeping the mountain on your left, you progress towards the forest that you are pointed towards. You are going to arrive a bit earlier than everybody else. You come to a copse of woods. When it's maybe 120 feet away, you already begin to hear little whines and growls and barks. And as you come to the edge of a hill and then below, the wood kind of begins to expand out. Although, worth noting, as you progress north, the woods become sparser and sparser. So not terribly thick, so easy to see through. Shae, you come face to face with something in the order of 3 dozen dogs. just interspersed throughout the woods. Some maybe less trustworthy, who are tied up and kind of still given enough rope to kind of run around and do things. Others just kind of roaming. You see mostly huskies, just dozens of huskies, just mixed colors. You see a few. You actually see two who are just pitch black and kind of stick together. You can see a number of other much taller, longer looking dogs, which are not familiar to you because they're not from the north. There's a pair of Malamutes. You see at least two Samoyed. You can see, very interestingly, just kind of off by itself, a miniature horse. But you see just a ton of dogs, and then between all of them and amongst them, there are two humanoid figures. You actually see one kind of looking in your direction. She's this old halfling. You can see wearing like a bunch of just old furs that are white and gray, and you can see probably from like different Arctic animals. But she comes up to you, and you can see the eyes kind of from underneath this very, very poofy hood. Oh, you must be the one that Nazara said would be coming. There were supposed to be others.
They may or may not be joining us. There could be up to 4 of us, but...
Oh,
knows?
good. That would give us a lot more leeway in how we could use the sleds. We're used to having more drivers, but for right now, while the others are disposed of, it's just me and Pine. And she points, and you can see just chubby-faced, holds up a hand shyly, but this very young-looking halfling, similarly dressed, when you look at her, the little bit of her face that you could see is like wind-worn, very, very tough. She's clearly spent a life outside. He looks like he just got here. Just, baby-faced, rosy little cheeks. Looks like he has just a hint of maybe not frostbite, but like his nose is just tipped white. He's just not used to this temperature. You can see even in this huge swath of furs, he's just like shivering a little bit as he feeds these animals. But she says, it would be ideal to have 3 more to drive the different sleds. We have quite a few teams and quite a few dogs. I'll drive my own, and people could ride if they wish, but it would be helpful. Have you eaten?
Not in some time. If you have something that would be
Pine
helpful.
is such a lovely cook. For such a young halfling, he would do wherever he is from proud, I'm sure.
That sounds wonderful.
Please follow me. And there's like dogs coming up to you now and like licking your hand, and there's one that kind of it's a dog called a Chinook, I think. It just jumps up, and it's taller than you on its hind legs, but it friendly just kind of plops its paws down. This big tongue licks you in the face instantly, like beginning to get really cold and icing up a little bit. But she leads you back to the campfire. Heinrich, you can see Shae's footprints here and there, but there are places where the snow is particularly cold, where they seem to almost disappear. But,
Nod.
Okay.
Nod for helping and finding where Shae went, because I just come out and like, God damn it. Okay, Nod, if you don't mind, just try to help me find Shae, and I'll like do my own tracking while
Sure.
tuning.
Make a perception check using Nod's stats, and then make a perception check using your stats.
Cool. Nod. So 19 with Nod, and then a 3 with me.
So Heinrich, you're fully intend to help in this search, but as Nod takes off, across the little bit of sun that you can see, it is now getting a little bit darker. The wings spread out, and you can see almost like emerald on the edges of these wings, and it does take your attention away, and you watch Nod soar off into the sky. You kind of watch for a little bit and then close your eyes, your consciousness pulled back, and suddenly you are looking through Nod's eyes. You can see snow just out before you. You see trees sparser and frozen, some almost to the core. You can see like thick ice on some. The landscape fades and just kind of runs underneath, and you can see eventually a place where Shae's tracks do pick up again, near this copse of woods. And all of a sudden, not especially, you can feel almost as animalistic, like half curiosity, half fear, but then you hear barking, and you see dogs, just a forest full of dogs. 4 or 5 of them kind of get to the edge and begin barking up at Nod. You can see one, like the tail is just wagging. Definitely like a friendly and kind of curious bark. But you can feel Nod's anxiety.
Yeah. And was it Sati Ableto? That was the name?
Sally Ableto.
Sally Ableto. I don't know
Yeah.
it's Sati.
Yeah.
Alright. I just think to myself, okay, must be Sally, and she must be there too. Okay, and I head off in that direction and just call
Okay.
Nod back to like calm her down a little bit from the dogs.
And even as you think it, your eyes still closed, you can feel Nod suddenly catch the wind and begin to arc back towards you. You open your eyes, you're sure Nod will be back, and sure enough, like 10 minutes in, suddenly you see and then just landing on your shoulder lightly.
Scritch, 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 and I walk off.
The big eyes close, and it's almost a smile as you walk off. Guntir and Morwen.
Yes.
In total, it takes you an hour and 15 minutes to run, gamble, and then run back. You get to this the tunnel entrance, and there is no Morwen. There is no Heinrich. There is no Shae. What do you want to do?
They left without us.
Ugh, it can't be too hard to find, especially with all the noise Heinrich makes.
That's true. Oh, so we're going to Squall's End?
I guess so.
Alright, it's kind of that way, right?
Guntir just points to the rock wall that's next to you.
Are we outside?
You can go outside if you wish, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's
let's
go
head
outside.
out. Let's head outside. We gotta go.
I
Maybe
get my
there's
winter
still
stuff on.
So,
Uh,
though Shae did take some effort to orient herself to these caves, and Heinrich had a map, Morwen, neither you nor Guntir is especially familiar with these tunnels.
Yeah, the straightest path, right?
Guntir, make a survival check.
I also deliberately didn't look at your map.
Yep. I was remembering that. Oh my God.
All right, that's okay because that was actually another good survival.
That's a 24.
Okay. So, Guntir, you guys kind of are like, how are we going to find them? You begin to walk and try your best to like
We're
find elements that you
sprinting.
recognize. Okay, so you're like sprinting. In your rush, you can kind of see elements of these stalactites that look vaguely familiar. You feel like you do a pretty good job.
Yeah, straightest
In
path.
truth, it is almost blind luck. You actually go like in areas around these stalactites and stalagmites where you're winding in and out, and you just by pure happenstance like leave the main path and come back to the main path 3 or 4 times.
Nice.
You add an additional like 20 minutes to the journey, but without trouble you make it through, and you suddenly through a different passageway come into the workshop.
Hey,
in all
we made
fairness,
it.
we split it, right? So 250 each.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
this
give
was a
you-
good idea.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I
was gonna
won
say,
the
I'll give you-
500.
I was gonna say I'll give you 270 because
Oh.
I took the third one. I know I broke our promise, but I was
Not gonna
feeling the
say
hot
no.
hand.
Not gonna say no.
Okay,
So,
so you split the gold as you
250.
walk.
It's my penance for not saying no.
Thank
And worth noting, once Yambo got to 100, he was able to size stack the other 100, so it was quicker after that. But it took a long time.
Yeah,
And
apparently.
looking at that huge cleaver in the wall behind him, you weren't like super keen on rushing him. But you guys make your way through the tunnels and outside into. You guys are getting out right when it's getting to like sunset. It's getting dark. You can see easily Heinrich's tracks in this place. Here and there, you can see fainter footsteps of Shae, but for the most part, easy to follow Heinrich.
All right, let's
Just do that.
follow him. Yeah,
We're just sprinting
Heinrich,
behind.
right as dusk moves into true night, you'd imagine, sometime around 8 o'clock, 7, 8 o'clock. Not you. You guys are going to be walking in the dark for a little bit. We're going to get back to that. Heinrich, you right at this time come to a part where you can hear the dogs, and actually one of the huskies like runs out, and like you can see the eyes first on the owl, but then kind of turn to you, really happy, just the tongue out, just like excited to see you. Licks you once, takes like 5 steps, stops in like this playful stance, looking at you, and then runs back. You actually see at this point, Shae, you're eating. You watched Pine make this dish, and it would be interesting to you because he pulls out from the satchel, dried but very, very familiar to you, burn bright blossoms, and he adds them into what is basically just an easy game stew. But as he crumbles them in, this soup that had begun to bubble a little bit suddenly like surges into a roiling boil, and you know that it will stay warm for another day. But you can see Shae eating something. You can see this ancient-looking kind of halfling hunched over, the hood now down. Her hair is very short. It is gray, but there is just this mirth in her face. And you, without issue, can approach the dogs now. When you get to within 10 feet, the number of dogs makes it difficult because they're all rushing up to you. Some of them flop over. At that point, like one will like lick that, and that one just starts barking, and those two are like arguing now and fighting. But it's this whole commotion of dogs, and then one mini horse. But you can see Sally look over. Oh, she turns to you, Shae. Is this one of your friends?
Yes, that is one of them. This is
Yoo-hoo! And she waves to you from afar. You approach.
You must be Sally?
Yes, I'm Sally Ableto. I've been doing the dog sled business for quite some time. Almost 60 years in the north. This is my associate, Pine. And you can see this chubby halfling kind of... Hey.
What's up?
Good to see you.
Yeah. Smells good.
Oh yes, Pine is a fantastic cook. There's some for you, and Shae said there might be up to 4 of you. Is there? She kind of looks behind you.
I think I have a way that we might be able to get there faster. Can I try to, with the bag, pull out a fast creature that we can ride on?
You
can reach into the bag,
dude.
sure. Yeah, why not? So, as you're walking,
I'm like, oh, there's a fast cat
Wait,
before.
I'm so scared you're gonna pull something out and kill the dogs.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I don't.
well, you remember that when this creature does come out, it is friendly towards you.
Yeah,
Towards us.
yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay.
So go ahead,
Come
roll a
on.
d8.
That is a 4.
Okay, so you reach into this sort of gray frayed bag that looks similar to a bag of holding. Has none of the patterns on the outside, but the same shape. And your hand closes around something like a fuzzy cush ball almost. And as you pull it out, you throw it down anywhere you want, but presumably at your feet.
Yeah, of course.
And suddenly, as it like warps and unfolds, this boar appears. Big tusks, black fur. You can see the pig nose. The tusks go up and out. One of them's kind of broken just on the tip. And it looks up at you, regarding you with dark eyes, just waiting.
How fast?
A little
can
tail
we go?
behind, just kind of twiggling. It kind of turns, and you see it just run about 10 feet. It's like, probably about as fast as you.
I'm gonna pull out another one.
Okay. You reach into the bag. Hang on one sec here.
This is
Just a bunch of boars. Wild hogs!
So,
Or no, feral hogs.
okay. So you reach in again. Roll a d8.
1.
You reach in, and for a second, it's not like a fuzzy cush ball like you're expecting, because already as you're pulling it out, this weasel is like just wriggling around, runs up your arm, and then kind of
Jesus.
comes to a stop here. You can see the boar kind of gives this little And the weasel lets out this little, and they seem to almost communicate for a second.
All right, third time's the charm. Let's go.
Oh my
Go
God.
for it. Roll a d8. Gunter becomes a
Morwen
Disney
doing right
princess.
now?
8.
An 8.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went across the whole 1, 4,
You
8.
reach into this bag, and instantly you're aware that this is larger than the other two.
All
It
right,
still
I think we're
feels like
getting
a fuzzy
somewhere.
ball, but this is like the size of like a softball. And as you pull it out, you throw it, and this thing like into a huge elk. These large
Let's
antlers kind of
go!
rise up and become these flat points that go out, very bullwinkle moose almost. And you could see the fur itself like dark brown with these almost streaks of silver that run through it. This is beautiful elk.
Nice.
It regards you with these big eyes. The boar turns, the weasel turns. It's almost like they're all, like this little, and then the elk. I have no idea what sounded elk
Okay,
makes.
so elks have a weird tubular nasally noise. It's very very high pitched. It's very bizarre. It does not.
I
look like it
actually
comes
know
from them.
exactly what you're sounding.
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
like-
saying too. And I only know it because I played Ultima Online, and it was a stock sound with that game in like 1994.
Shit, dude, that was forever ago. We used to play
That was like the OG.
Talk about dating ourselves. You
The OG MMORPG, Ultima Online. Not a sponsor.
Yeah.
No. So you have an elk. It lets out this little grunt and then a high pitched kind of upwards ending whine, almost a question, and it looks at you.
All right, I'm gonna be like, all right, hop on. I'm gonna try to climb onto the elk.
Make an animal handling check. It is friendly towards you, but it's not your best friend. It's also an elk. Yeah, I would say Gunter first, and then we'll go from there.
He just takes
All right,
off, and I'm
animal handling.
The
Nice.
boar just looks at you and runs away.
16.
The boar looks
A
at you.
16. Okay. This giant elk, for what it is worth, it is considered a huge beast. This is not just large. This elk, when I say like it's big, it's not just moose big. This thing, to put it into perspective of things that you have fought, if you were to take the wyvern and have it tuck its wings in, about that size. So, what was your animal handling check?
16.
You approach it, feeling as you get closer, despite the fact that this has been conjured through your actions and friendly to you, like a brief moment of trepidation. This thing towers over you. You approach, you come up to like right above where the knee is, and you look up. What do you say to it?
Like, hey, friend. I'm gonna give it like a tepid pat on the hind leg. Like,
It exhales this one like, and as it does, your whole beard to the side, and it lowers its head, and the front legs go down, and you can easily climb aboard.
oh yeah, hop on.
You hop on. Morwen, you can hop on easily regardless.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, that's just such a funny image of just like, hey there, buddy. Oh yeah!
As you say, oh yeah, the little weasel on you, and you can see the boar itself kind of looks and it seems kind of sad. It knows it can't rise.
With us. Follow
And boar-
along. Yeah.
And we fall off.
And as you do that, this thing in one motion, it leaps up from this kind of downwards dog kind of position and onto the ground. The snow shakes, and the nearby trees ice rains down like glass as it shatters off these branches. It has been frozen here for dozens, if not hundreds of years, this ice, and it shatters in an instant. Pine needles, ancient, just are flooded across the snow, and you take off. Behind you, easily falling and then trailing and then disappearing is this boar.
Oh.
It
Well,
is
they disappear though, don't they?
roughly not at dawn. It's about 9 o'clock at night. Shae, Heinrich, you guys have eaten your fill. While you're eating, is there anything that you're saying to either Sally, to Pine, or to any of the dogs or the small horse, which you would learn is named Dentures? over the course of this time. You have roughly 2 hours to wait.
Well,
Sorry,
Shae,
you have roughly an hour to wait. This is speeding things up a little bit.
well, Shae, are we? And this is like just a Shae in terms of like,
Do you find some time to like be aside? Sure.
are we to take this dog sledding team to Squall's End, or at least the foot of what was it again, Mount Ishi?
Mm-hmm. As
Cut some
far as they'll
considerable
take us.
time. Well, I remember them. Oh God, what was her name? The elf lady.
Nazara.
Nazara. I remember Nazara saying that they could take us north. Do you think that they would be willing to wait if that's where our path headed afterwards? Or should we just take the ride there and then... I wouldn't want to keep them around if we didn't need to have them just waiting for nothing.
Perhaps we should ask them.
Alright, I suppose it's true. Sally?
Oh, yes. And she kind of walks up through the snow, which has been, in this entire area, just there's dog shit everywhere. But it's also just kind of been packed down by just dogs running. So she's able to easily walk over. Yes.
Did Nazara mention...
Hi, Shae.
Hi, Sally.
Did Nazara mention our heading or our potential heading, or did she just say come and wait? How is it that you operate around
She
here?
said that you needed transport, and since we're no longer, I don't know the word for it, but taking dwarves out of Kulturam, then I don't imagine that our regular business will resume anytime soon, so we are relatively at your disposal, as long as we're staying within the confines of the Great North.
Yes, right. Are you familiar with I look to Shae. I'll just yeah.
People
Hi, Shae.
in the north know it as Squall's End.
The Squall's End! It has been almost 20 years since I've been in that direction, and I've never seen it myself. But I've been to the foot of Mount Yoshi, and I would love to take you there.
We would be honored to have you take us.
When will we go? And that's a fairly quick route for our dogs. We could do it in maybe a day or two.
I would love to get moving as soon as possible. I looked at Heinrich. Don't know how much longer we wish to wait.
Yes, and we do expect, and I'm not entirely sure, but two more. I think you were told of our
4.
size. Yeah. You know what? If you wouldn't mind, just hold on one moment. And I'm gonna walk a little distance and then get gnawed onto my arm. And just
She like follows you for the first 2 steps, and then she
can
goes,
come
oh,
too if she
okay.
wants. No, she can come if she wants. I'm not gonna like try to be by myself.
Sure,
Just walk to, like the edge of the tree line, basically.
Okay. Yeah, she follows you for the first couple steps, and then seems to kind of think better of it, and she turns around.
And then up and away. Try to scout out to see if there's anyone who's coming.
Okay. Without even making a perception check, you see very easily.
The
So
trail of
at this
destruction.
point, the moon just passed full. It was full maybe 2 nights ago, and so now it's just beginning to wax. No, it's beginning to wane.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since 3rd grade. You can see it casts light across this field of snow, and because it has been so cold and frozen, Shae, for your entire life, but you know that the events that caused this part of the north to become more permanently frozen occurred maybe 50, 60 years ago. This snow is frozen to almost this permanent sheen, and so it's very easy to see this large, looming creature. And at first, there is this weird sense because it has this huge rack of antlers, and it's this massive elk. You see, as Nod takes this large pass, almost, probably in terms of time, trailing it now by about half an hour, and now just walking because it seems tired, a boar.
Oh, poor thing.
And as Nod goes around again and begins to make its way back, you can see Guntir just aboard this massive elk. thrilled, laughing, the platinum beard going like in the wind, and
Whipping Morwen in
seems to
the
be having a
face.
great time.
As well.
Given Morwen's dexterity, Morwen's having no problem staying seated aboard this thing. Morwen, you could be standing aboard it as it moves if you would
Ooh,
like.
I'm
It's
surfing
large.
with the elf. I mean,
Sure.
elk.
Make an acrobatics check.
Yeah! 23.
You see Morwen up on the very edge of the rack of antlers on the right-hand side, like legs down, grabbing onto it, very Spider-Man-esque in a way, hair flowing, the red trench coat, patchwork as it is, whipping in the wind. But you see the two of them, and Guntir gleefully cackling behind. You see them traversing. They're maybe half
Like
an hour away.
evil Santa.
I sigh quite heavily and recall nod back to my shoulder and return.
He begins to
Sigh?
move.
This is epic. What are you talking
Just
about?
like-
You know you're jealous.
All right.
You
they'll be
wish you
here in
could
about
come in
half
this
an hour.
cool.
You turn, and then you get back. Shae, at this point, Sally's been listing off every single name of the dogs. So you come back, and you can see she's just going, and then there's Salmon and Bigsby and BDPD, which stands for Big Dog Poopy Tush, because he's got a problem, and Hellcrow and Oh, Heinrich! Did your bird find whatever you were looking
about
for?
half an hour away. They're the other two. But I do think it wise to probably camp the night here, I'm assuming.
I would say so. I know the North better than most, but travel here is perilous at best and in the dark. I wouldn't do it personally.
Good. All right. Is there enough stew for them when they arrive?
Of course, there's always enough stew. And we could make
Sounds-
more if we need to.
Okay. Good.
Is it made out of dog?
So they should be. So they should be here shortly, and I suppose introductions, resting, and then make for Squall's End in the morning.
That sounds like a lovely plan. I do not think, despite the help of the dogs, that I will be able to ascend the mountain with you, but I can certainly get you there.
Good. That is.
Perfect.
That is
At this point, you're beginning to hear like more and more of the dogs kind of barking, although unclear why. But they're starting to kind of move slowly towards the edge of the woods. It's really just kind of dentures now near you guys.
Like
Meanwhile,
one eyebrow up at Heinrich.
yeah,
Oh, they found a massive elk and are riding it to us. I have a feeling it's the way that Guntir made that panther appear when we were.
Oh,
You remember?
yes.
you can see her Sally's eyes kind of squint, and she says, "There is no elk this far west of the frost line."
You'll.
It was.
I suppose I should tell you we are the Finger Gang, and our reputation usually precedes us in a negative way. We have a lot of chaos surrounding us.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. That does give me some trepidation about bringing you to Mount Yishi, but we're doing it for Nazara, and we'll trust in her because she's kept us safe for this long. We'll wait for you. And now it's like getting. You can see her direction. Eyes are turning because there's just barking all along. And going back to you, Guntir, and you, Morwen, as you approach this tree line, there is a cacophony of barks and howls and brays, and you can see the whole tree line is moving as there are huskies and samoyeds and all these dogs just kind of just lining the trees. The elk, as it's like galloping, it suddenly puts its legs down hard. I need both of you to make dexterity saving throws first as it skids to a stop in this ice. The weasel off.
I was gonna say,
Morwen, let's overtake them.
No. They waited for us, kinda.
They
not
didn't
really.
wait for us.
Well, you know, I mean, they're
Plus, we
lost,
took
though.
this elk.
Dexterity saving throws because this thing
Oh,
suddenly
did.
jams its legs and it comes to a stop.
I rolled an 18.
An 18. Okay.
oh, as soon as I get somewhere, I have a dexterity thing.
I know it's rough, buddy. You're 287.
Gunter's gonna be yeeted off this elk.
He's been yoked many times. What was it?
9.
A 9? Okay.
Bye.
As it stops, Morwen, you're like surfing on these antlers. As it comes to a stop, you use the momentum and kind of slide down the edge, and you're just hanging off. But you pull yourself back up. As you pull yourself back up, Guntir is gone. Guntir, you take. It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's huge, right? So maybe he just got
landed
snagged
in
in a tree,
snow.
like he's
Oh.
dangling from a high tree branch.
He's at least 10 feet off the ground.
You take 7 points of bludgeoning damage as there's that as a weasel gets thrown and this Guntir gets thrown, and Guntir, you don't hit a tree or anything. You tumble in the snow. The snow is fairly hard. These dogs are like going crazy. There's barks and howls and all this kind of stuff. Even for the two of you, you can now see this massive elk off, just kind of a silhouette from the moonlight coming down. The dogs are going crazy. You see Guntir like just fly about 5 feet, 10 feet, and then
I'm
into the
getting
ground.
like an ET vibe.
Yeah, and you see Morwen dangling from the antlers before she pulls herself up and is now standing atop this massive elk. The dogs have formed like a half of a circle around it. None are willing to get closer. Guntir, as you pull your face out of the snow, just snow down your face into your beard, you can rub some of it away and see the elk from beyond. It's starting to shift around uncomfortably, but it's waiting kind of for you to say something or do something.
Oh, I'm gonna run back and be like, "It's okay," and climb back on, and go, "Yeah!"
Lowers itself down. Morwen, you have to like shift your stance as it lowers. You have to run along the antlers and to the other side. And so the antlers go down, you climb aboard, and it hoists its head back up. You rise up again. One of the dogs howls.
Guntir, make sure you go slowly here. I don't want to hurt any of these dogs.
Oh,
Already said yeah.
yeah, I already said yeah.
Oh, you did say yeah. Okay, make an animal handling check.
Yeah! I have a cat in the dice box now. Oh, nice. 15 plus. That is. Dirty 20.
This thing begins to gallop again. The dogs hurriedly go from howling and barking. There's like these whines and yelps, and they part. You can see one of them kind of holds its stance for just a little longer. One of these black huskies, very serious, not barking, but then it just backs away. It doesn't run, it backs, and you gallop through. You see Sally, the two of you, Heinrich, Shae. Oh my! This thing just careens past you. Trees break in its wake, and then just disappears into the. It doesn't disappear. You can track it for a good 100, 200 feet.
I also
Did we see
imagine.
them?
Yeah, you saw them coming
Yeah.
past, but Guntir,
Guntir,
yeah.
Where are we?
I imagine
around.
I imagine the moments leading up to it too, as they were galloping through the woods. That there was like I'm eating my stew, and then it's just like,
Oh yeah, Jurassic Park, like, for sure, yeah.
and then just.
You watch Guntir get thrown off, hop back on, and just be like, yeah.
That was still like 200 feet away, right? That was like.
Maybe like 100 feet away at that point. But yeah, and then you gallop right through the middle of them. So you see just this broken line where branches have been smashed aside and the snow is disrupted, and it leaves this fairly easy to follow trail. But Guntir, you are careening through the woods on a huge elk.
This pace will be there in no time!
And Guntir is like,
I don't know.
there are times where Guntir, your whole body leaves, and nothing but your hands holding onto the back of this elk are keeping you secure to it. It's flying. Bits of like tree are flying past you as they break under this thing. Morwen, it's easier for you to hold on, but not much. This thing is moving.
Guntir, I think I'm gonna go join our friends.
But we're so far ahead now! We're winning!
Yeah, but I want to join our friends. I don't want to make, I don't want to keep leaving each other behind. It's not good practice.
Yeah.
There's trees breaking as it kind of turns slightly to the side. The
Just
snow
kinda-
and ice break and skid as it does so. You can hear underneath what was clinging and kind of shivering below this weasel again. Down.
I'm trying to turn it around to go back to the camp and be like,
Okay.
fine.
Comes to a stop, and you say, fine. You pull again on the antlers, and it turns.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it either.
And then it lets out a little, one of these high-pitched kind of whines. Very small, considering the size of the creature. But slower pace, you plod back. As you
Thank
return, the dogs
Yeah.
begin to kind of whine and like back away, no longer intent on barking at this creature that galloped through them. Except for Dentures, the horse, which just trots up and just curiously is looking. It has like this little bit of like barding, so it's like a cloth laid over his back.
Cute. Alright, I'm gonna
Disembark.
yeah.
Okay, you leap off. Morwen, you do as well. And you are, you're not surrounded by dogs, they keep their distance, but you can see, especially you, Morwen, there's a lot of them focused on you. Curiosity, some seem kind of excited.
I'm gonna try
Quite
to
an
approach
entrance
one.
for the Slayer of Nightmares there.
Yeah. I
Turn
wish
to
you could
Sally,
be
I'm like, that's the guy who killed a dragon.
Oh, hi, Slayer of Nightmares.
Hi, Susie.
My name is Sally Ableton.
Oh, okay. Hi, Sally Ableton.
Close enough, I guess. Does the Slayer of Dragons have a name?
Yeah, that's Guntir.
Guntir. A strong dwarvish name.
Yeah,
Lovely.
that's me.
And and she's like calling because you're a little bit further back. The dogs are still very interested in you. What about you, friend of Guntir?
Hi, I'm Morwen. Can I pet your dogs?
It's okay, everybody. Settle down. And as she says this, here and there, you can see they like turn. And for this tiny little woman, she is clearly the alpha of this pack. And suddenly the entire energy of this thing kind of shifts, and the tails which are down and the ears which are back suddenly kind of pop up on these huskies and samoyeds and chinooks, and there's suddenly this galloping that you can feel the great elk behind you take one or two steps back, but they
It's all
converge. Okay, and he calms down a little, but they converge on you more when suddenly you are knocked prone as one of them leaps up and plants you on the ground. And you feel just this tongue on your face, another tongue on one of your arms. You feel playfully teeth around your ankle and just kind of tugging at your boot. But you are covered in dogs.
Oh, this is a little intense.
Yeah, just all over. You see just one black arm like waving from beneath, and then a dog just suddenly lands and it's gone.
I'm gonna try to just like crawl out of this.
The pile remains,
Pile.
but Morwen just like suddenly emerges and like smooths out the jacket. They're still like swarming on, now just kind of wrestling.
So, hey guys.
Oh, hi.
Made
Oh,
it.
wait.
I am impressed.
Yeah.
Congratulations on finding us, I suppose, or hello and welcome back to where we were heading, which is Wall's End tomorrow, right?
Yes, I suppose. Where did you find that? And she points at the huge elk, which is now just kind of, it's settled. So all of a sudden, at this moment, you feel, and you can see it's like settled down to a laying position.
Oh. Find what?
That huge, reindeer.
Oh, Timothy.
Timothy? Is he a pet?
I guess kinda. I got him in my sack.
Well, I try not to judge. Do you need to eat?
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, you got any bacon?
Pine could you please get some of the stew and give it to our new friends? It's Guntir, and you didn't say your name.
Morwen.
Hi, Morwen.
You did
And
say-
Morwen. Pine nods, and you can see Pine's hand go up, and then he hurries to go and ready the stew for the two of you. But Finger Gang, you are back together. There are dogs all around,
Love it.
looking up and seeing where the moon is. It's getting close to about 10 o'clock at night. And
The boar
for
ever
most of
make
you, not yet.
it?
I am climbing a tree and going to bed.
Okay. You all look around, and Shae is nowhere to be seen.
Night, Shae.
And call to the trees.
So what's our options for sleeping?
Well, you got
Here.
that cube there, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, maybe we should furnish it at some point.
Not a bad idea. If I remember, there was maybe
That's
some,
right.
at least fabrics and stuff to buy in Squall's End or
And
something.
if you need, we do carry, on the fourth sled, there are sleeping bags and tents and things of that nature that we could use. Okay, well, we do keep with us food and... and it's this metal cube settles into the snow. The dogs barking all over again, some running, some sniffing. You can see one of the smaller huskies runs up, the leg lifts and pee. But you now have the game cube.
Is it
up
just
there.
immediately ice? No, I'm just kidding.
It hits, there's steam, and then you can see as it begins to run, it becomes almost like a flat puddle. It does
Gross.
freeze.
Did the weasel get left behind when it fell off the second
You
time?
have no idea what happened to the weasel.
Okay, it's probably just...
It's I'm sure it's fine.
It's probably fine.
Yeah.
Just
I'm gonna crawl
native
into the
to area, I'm
damn
sure.
cube with my stew.
You open up the cube and you walk in. This lone chair, still sitting in this space.
I'm gonna follow in behind. Be like, all right, see you in the morning.
You do
So
so.
I'll go in as well.
Oh.
I'll just be like,
You
"Oh,
enter.
Oh, you're sleeping with us now?
well,
But you
just,
don't sleep. Are you just gonna like watch us?
No, I was just gonna
I don't like it when you do that.
sit down and a little bit less cold for a bit. I mean, this ring's helping a fair amount, but I don't know. Just for a bit.
Alright.
Alright, don't make any
In that
noise.
corner.
Excuse me?
And Gunter points to the one chair that's the sole furnishing of this room.
It's like the cool kids, but you like have to sit in like the loser chair.
I'll wait till you guys are sleeping, then I'll just sit like right at your feet and just stare at you guys all night.
Great.
This is creepy.
Just kidding, I'm not gonna do
We're just like in the little bedrolls, like,
that.
is he still looking at us?
You just see like my gold eye blink every once in a while.
Why don't you go away?
Chair, are you going right to sleep?
I think I would stay up for just a minute. Like, as soon as they're all in the GameCube, yes, absolutely going to sleep.
Okay,
But
cool. That happens. Is there anything that you guys want to do tonight before the night progresses into Heinrich's zone, which is we'll do
It's its
Heinrich's
own time frame
Yeah.
now.
I mean, I'll say it takes me a bit to go to sleep because I'm just like,
Alright, I'll leave. Fine, fuck it.
no, you can stay.
No,
I'm gonna
no,
fall
it's fine,
asleep.
it's fine, it's fine.
Now I feel bad.
No, I'm gonna stand up after you guys keep like looking at me and be like, I get it. It's fine.
You
I'll
see,
go back
like,
outside.
and Morwen's trying to disguise it. Like, she kind of like shifts, and you can see one eye open, and then she like turns. All the way
Yeah.
around. You know, a minute
It's classic,
passes, and you
like,
can see the eye
"Oh, I'm
opens
so
again and
tired."
shuts. Yeah.
Like when you're trying to see if someone's still looking at you from across the
Yeah.
room, just like,
Exactly. And you leave. You get the sense that it's making Morwen a little uncomfortable. Morwen, you find some sleep after that. Gunter, are you doing anything before you go to sleep?
I don't think so. No. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's it for Gunter.
Okay, Gunter finds sleep without issue. Morwen, you find sleep without issue. Shae, you too find sleep without issue. Here and there you do like hear dogs kind of beneath you. They're very curious about you up in this tree, but they don't bark at you. And um, you kind of fit into this environment pretty well. And you fall asleep, no problem. Heinrich, what are you doing over the course of the night as your companions sleep and you do not require such?
I only have one burning question for the book.
Okay.
Shit. What was the guy's name again? Now I'm like struggling to remember. Big nemesis potentially in line with Azra.
Juruxa.
Juruxa.
Druxa, thank you. I want to ask about that. I want to say. Well, first, I'll start with saying, do you know Azra, the Lady of Rot?
As you write Azra in Celestial, the glyph itself from that teal shining light seems to almost corrupt as it drifts beneath, but it does disappear, and Celestial reappears with a response. The response is, "Your past is not hidden to me."
Can you see who she favors?
Disappears into the page, and the answer that reemerges is constant vigilance does not mean that we can see everything. You get the sense of no. You sit with the book knowing there is one question left that you could ask.
Does Druxa have a patron aiding him?
As these glyphs disappear, you can see the individual aspects of these glyphs. Celestial looking like these circular runes, similar to, not a sponsor anyway related to the show, but if anybody knows Gallifreyan from Doctor Who, these complex concentric circles and lines and individual dots. You can see them unwinding and reshaping themselves, and they reappear with just two words. It says, "Not yet." And then from the depths, two more. He searches.
He searches. Okay. I will make sure to report that on the morning. The rest of the night, I'm cracking into Volume 1 of Intro to Elvish for the Common Man. I'm going to start learning Elvish.
Sure. As you read through the introduction, you learn. This is one of 12 sets, and you would imagine, should you have all 12, you would be able to, over time, learn Elvish.
Yeah.
But starting with the first book, sure, no problem. How many hours are you putting into this?
The rest of my time tonight, I suppose. Obviously, as non-intensive as a long rest would require.
So
I don't get to sleep.
We'll say you're reading at like half speed because you're doing this kind of like relaxed, just sort of letting your mind wander. Yeah, exactly. So
Practicing, sketching, whatever.
We'll put 3 hours towards your total Elvish curriculum. And in the post game email, I'll send you how learning a language works.
Yeah, sure.
But you read this book, and it's fairly well written. It's accessible, yet it is not talking down to you. It's clearly meant for people who are academically oriented, despite it being for beginners. You'd imagine for new students of Elvish. But you begin to read. Time passes. You are vaguely aware of the passage of time, just owing through the shifting of your companions. Shae, you find yourself awake first, and everybody can mark off a long rest. The night is relatively quiet. You look down. There's one or two dogs kind of up and active. The rest are kind of sleeping. Almost one huge mass of just fur of various colors. Here and there, you see like a foot or a face, but it's just a pile. In total, because you're up there and you can see, there is exactly 39 dogs and a horse.
And a horse.
A miniature horse.
Don't disappear at night.
Gone.
So, and worth noting, Shae, as you awake, the first rays of dawn poking over the horizon, you can see them shifting from behind this giant elk. Individual sunbeams through each prong. And for a second, it's almost too bright, and you have to look away, and when you look back, there's nothing.
You served us well.
I'm gonna drop down out of the tree and start getting ready to go.
Okay. You drop down. Maybe 30 minutes after you, Sally wakes up, and you can see she's in a sleeping roll, and she's up against this pile of dogs. There's no tent that's being used. She's using them for warmth. But she comes to, you see, very much like Guntir, actually, these morning stretches occur. Oh, hi, Shae.
Good morning, Sally.
It is indeed. Sun is wonderful for travel.
It is.
When will your companions be ready? And she looks over towards this very out-of-place looking metal cube.
Let's get ready. I will get them up.
With your passive perception, Shae, the entire left side of this cube facing west, there is just frozen urine across the whole thing. Every single dog in this camp has just been peeing up against it over the course of the night.
Gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
I wonder if that'll stay like the chair does.
we'll find out.
I'm gonna
Morwen, Guntir.
walk at that point and just start banging on the door.
We can't hear it.
Can't hear it.
Wow, shit, I would love that for my room.
I know.
In the quiet of the morning, Guntir and Morwen, you wake up.
Of my own volition.
I'm gonna open the door and bang on the inside.
You cannot open the door.
Is it locked?
I'm assuming that you. It's up to you, Guntir, because you can determine whether it's locked or unlocked.
Yeah, it's locked. Oh yeah.
Okay.
It
Once
doesn't
creepy
wanna-
Heinrich left, we locked it.
I'm just like sitting on top of it, dangling my feet over the door. Morning, Shae. Just like reading my book. Did
see
you
the
know
owl with
that?
its head tucked in?
Did you know that? I don't know. Give me a word, Joe. Give me a word for Elvish that we learned overnight.
What word do you want to know?
Eggs.
Apple.
Eggs?
Yeah.
Eves. EVES. And you would imagine that there's like a little thing over the glyph for E.
Sure. Did you know that in Elvish to say eggs you say Eves? And I give a thumbs up and I just go back to the book.
Interesting pronunciation.
Hey, whatever. I'm learning. Get over it.
Oh wait, can oh, but I couldn't hear that. I was
No.
gonna say, because if I could, I'd step outside and be like, did I hear eggs? No, I don't though. All right, I'll wake up, get up, I ta-da out of my pajamas, pack up
Yellow
my stuff.
smiley faces and the yellow, bright yellow fade into your regular armor. You pack up your sleeping bags, and Guntir, just all his bones cracking. Guntir, make a Constitution saving throw for me, please.
Is this at advantage or regular?
Nope, just flat.
That's a 14.
I don't think
14,
old
okay.
age is a poison.
Yeah.
You wake up a little stiffer than you were before. Sleep within the GAM cube, not always terribly comfortable, especially not when you've brought no furniture in. It's just, cold iron floor. But you feel, you kind of stretch out the kinks and you're okay.
They say sleeping on the floor is better for your back. I don't know if I believe it though.
I mean, I'm fine, but I'm also like 2, so
Only 2.
No, I think I'm. Wait, no, real talk. I think I'm like 5 or 6.
You've been on Alberon for 6 years, give or
There
take.
you Okay.
Oh wow. I'm 287.
I know.
That's like
Everybody knows. Everybody that you meet.
It's almost like 50 times more than you. Almost. Like 45. Yeah.
It's actually 47.
Shae, I think the door is locked. I don't know. I think
I'm
Guntir
gonna
doesn't.
kick the door
he wants
open like
privacy.
the.
The door just slams open. The metal clang, 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 up into the echo. Suddenly, like just the dogs go. All the dogs are now waking up. And with Guntir as an alarm clock, the entire camp comes to life. You can see Pine's head just out of the dogs. Morning has found everybody.
I'll hop down.
Good morning, Timothy. Oh.
Into the snow. Timothy is gone.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
After the first couple
what's
bangs, I would have
breakfast?
gone off and started getting things together to get ready to go.
Okay. You begin to get things together.
Breakfast. You know what would be good with breakfast? And I check the book again. Evis.
Oh, I like eggs.
Damn.
Into your hand, the gam cube.
Does it wring the pee out like a sponge, or?
No, so the pea, as the metal tile cracks away, it shatters into little shards of urine crystal ice.
I need this detail in my world,
it
Joe.
Scatters across the compacted frozen snow. Elements of it near the fire that still smolders from the campfire previous, and those shards, exactly 27 of them, begin to melt into the snow, creating now yellow snow in a small patch.
Feel it. I feel it. All right.
What the hell?
Sally, let's get breakfast and let's get going.
Oh, hi, Heinrich. Okay. And Pine
Sally, let's
goes
get
over
breakfast.
and stokes the fire. You can see his nose kind of turns up at the urine that's along the side of it. And as the fire does roar back to life, you do smell a little bit of urine. It's a foul smell.
Tinge.
Oh,
yeah.
they must be used to it.
It's a really bad smell.
Yeah, but there are like 30 dogs.
Perhaps. I don't. Peeing into a campfire is bad.
I've never done it. I don't know.
I think I've even done it around you, Miles.
Yeah.
I think when we were in the bonfire way out in the woods.
Yeah.
But either way, not a good smell.
We know these things.
It is not a great smell, but as Pine puts this cast iron, it's not like a skillet, it's like a big piece of cast iron. Funnily enough, Eves make their appearance, and they're cracked on, and you can hear sizzling, and the smell of eggs and pepper and salt begin to rise in the air. Bread makes an appearance. You see small bits of dried, actually fairly familiar to you, Morwen. It's like a dried fish kind of thing. But you can all, without issue, have a pretty good breakfast.
Thank you, Pine.
Welcome.
So, what exactly is our plan with all the dogs and stuff?
Well, and then Sally says, "Oh, well, which of you would be comfortable driving one of the sleds?"
I'm pretty good.
One.
Fine with
You saw
Okay,
me.
so Guntir could do it. I did see you with that creature. Although, where did it go?
It left.
Oh, well, goodbye, Timothy.
It'll be
So
back.
Guntir and Heinrich will do one. Shae, you could do one.
I could do one.
Well, okay. While Pine cooks, I will get the dogs hitched to their sleds, and then you could pick whichever you would like. Not mine or Pine's. We have our own team of dogs that we've carefully picked, but the rest you can choose amongst yourself.
Could I request your friendliest dogs, easiest to guide?
Easiest
I've never done
to
this
guide.
before, and I'm not the best. Despite Nod being like
I would like the
companion here, I
fastest and
feel
happiest dogs.
So I would imagine then you will want the one that is helmed by the only non-dog member of our team.
Perfect.
Dennis. He's a northern miniature horse and quite capable, if a little odd sometimes. But your team will consist of Gatsby, Captain Apple, Judy, Morticia, Omelette, and Dentures.
omelet.
Oh,
Perfect. Morwen, would you like to
Points
ride with
at-
Omelet?
it's this husky that has
Go do your
almost
own.
like it's like a faint
I
brown,
think you know who I'm
almost
riding with.
yellow coat. And then Guntir, you said the fastest.
The fastest and hardiest.
Well, that would be Pine's team, but aside from that, you're going to take the one that is led by Bigsby. It's Salmon, Bigsby, Beady Petey, Hellcrow, and T-Bone.
That sounds like a fine pack.
They're very strong, and that's why they carry the largest amount of cargo, but they still make the best time. A little unruly at times, but pretty good.
Well, I'll whip them into shape.
Quite. And then that would leave one more sled free for a driver. Who would that be? Either
I can do
Shae
that
or
one.
Heinrich?
I can
Shae.
take that
Okay.
one.
So your team is going to be it's Rilbo, Dagger, Apprentice, Jeff, Popsicle, and that's spelled like paw. It's a joke. And Meliora. And you look over and it's a full team of Huskies.
Precious.
Okay, wait. So if
So you're going with
Gunter's,
Guntir.
well, no, if he's carrying the most cargo with all the hardy dogs, then I'm not going to just add more. Which is the best team for me to ride with?
Oh, well, that's
Sally.
entirely up to you. They can all easily handle any number of people, really, up to 3 or 4.
Oh, I just didn't want to
let's-
overwork the fast team.
Well,
Now,
you could ride with whoever you wish, Morwen.
Oh wait, who has the fastest team? Pine?
Well, Pines are certainly the strongest, yes.
Oh, I'm going on that one. I'm gonna race Gunter. I see what I had.
a little friendly competition, eh?
Yes.
And you see Pine kind of comes up and, my dogs are Saloon and Shar, and Delinu, and Sorfra, and Felonius, and then Bert is my favorite.
You know what else they are? Going down!
Okay.
All
just
right,
kind
and
of looks at the ground.
I'm gonna just walk over to Pine, be like 5 pieces of gold in it if you beat him.
I don't know if I can beat anybody, but I'll try.
No, like racing, like get there first.
Oh, okay. We'll do that no matter what.
Oh, okay, sounds good. And I'm just gonna get all snow bundled up.
Okay. You begin to bundle yourself in furs. Sally puts these teams, yokes the dogs up and gets them all attached. Pine, finishes cleaning up after breakfast and putting out the fire.
I'll help.
Okay, no problem. You help. You can see Pine at one point
Yeah,
looks
I
up.
pee the fire out.
Pine looks up and just kind of says, "Thanks." Just kind of poking it out. You take 30 minutes to doff your armor, pee, and then put it back on.
Yeah, no.
I think it's only 15 minutes actually for you, but
Yeah.
either way.
Well, it's just medium plate on the top, right? It's not full.
You're wearing scale, I believe.
Scale mail, I thought it was just the upper half. Is it the full thing? I guess it goes down to pants, yeah. Never mind.
Either way, these dogs are attached to each one. There's like a lot of they're excited. There's an excited energy here. Sally kind of gathers you around. Now, we'll need to go over some commands. So I will use my team and teach each of you the basics. Who would like to go first? Morwen, you don't need to go because you're riding along with Pine. But
Sounds good.
who will go first?
Look, I feel like I'm gonna need the most experience, so I'll just throw myself out first.
Okay, well,
Practice
come
experience.
come along then, Heinrich. And she leads you over to her team. These are my dogs: Jasper, Tankard, Princess, Candle, Cody, and Ferracho.
I like Candle.
I like all of my dogs, but Candle is nice. So you step up, and she shows you how to get onto the sled. She shows you the basic commands for this, the principles of how well you do. Go ahead and make an animal handling check for me.
So I need the most practice. Height. 10.
Okay. As you guys watch Heinrich kind of doing, trying to emulate the commands, you hear Heinrich say a couple of words that don't make a lot of sense, except a little bit to you, Morwen, and you, Shae, because he's trying to sprinkle in some Elvish words. They don't really land. Here and there, Sally has to step in and kind of re-guide it. You'll be able to do it. At the end of your lessons, you have a lot of snow. You fall twice, and Sally kind of gets up and says, I'll have you follow directly behind me. I think that's probably for the best.
Sure.
Who's next?
Guidance.
All right. All right, Guntir, come on up. And she shows you, she introduces you to the dogs. Go ahead and make an animal handling check as you go through the same series of maneuvers.
That is. What my animal is. What's a
You use animal handling more than anybody.
So far, yeah.
19.
19. As Sally goes over things, she's like, okay, and you pull this too, and then you very instinctively get the hang of this. You see, okay, if you imagine you pull here to go left, then you're going to pull here to go right, and you
Just like a chariot.
yeah, similar in certain ways, and she explains the ways in which they're different, and you catch them without problem. For all of you, Heinrich, whereas she had to like stop the sled for you, Gunter, you like come back after making one big loop in a circle in this clearing with the sled, and if you wish, you can like kind of go along and spray snow on somebody. Or
Oh, for sure.
so, who are you aiming the snow at?
I think I'm gonna aim it at Heinrich.
Okay, so
Can I wall of fire? No, just kidding.
damn,
A cast wall of fire.
roll for initiative.
Yeah.
So, Gunter, without problem, you pull the sled. You have it go really in at a close angle on Heinrich, and as the sled itself kind of almost not hydroplanes, I guess it is water technically, as it slides to the side, there's a spray of ice and snow that pelts you, Heinrich.
I do one of those frowny
To
faces.
a chop. Still kind of like frozen bits of ice form like a second frown underneath. But
Pop out.
Sally says, very good, Gunter. That's quite impressive. Have you done this before?
No, but it reminds me of when I was a gladiator in the arenas.
Have you been to Nocturne?
A couple times, yeah.
Oh, I always wanted to go.
Uh,
But let me just make sure that Shae knows. Shae, come on up. Hi, Shae. And she
Hi.
leads you over and introduces you to each dog, and then go ahead and make an animal
It's
handling
a
check.
23.
23. Very easily. Less flashy, but even before she says, now this is how you kind of start, the dogs begin to move. One of them kind of barks. You pull and kind of straighten that one out, and very quickly these dogs, and the touch that you exhibit with these dogs, not necessarily gentle, but it's firm in a way that definitely provides leadership, and these dogs respond very positively to that. Whereas Sally is certainly the alpha of this pack, there is a certain firmness to her that you emulate, and you handle these dogs flawlessly. No problem. You can do whatever you wish, but I would imagine you would like just a very clean run,
Very clean run.
return without issue. And
You don't want to
Sally,
spray Gunter?
No.
as you come up, Sally says, I've never seen somebody just catch on that quickly. That was amazing. That was even better than Gunter. So, you all know the principles of the sleds. I don't know how you came to be here, but we'll take a pretty easy path. We're just going to be going through some fairly not steep canyons, so fairly safe, no real risk of avalanche except for the last little bit. But once you hear my dog sled team begin to be very quiet, you should all do the same. Now, are there any questions before we
I
get
feel like
started?
we all snap our heads to Gunter.
Why is everybody looking at Gunter? And she looks at you too.
I have no idea.
Well, so I will lead, and Heinrich, I'll have you follow me, and then Gunter, you could follow, and then Shae, and then I'll have Pine and Morwen take up the rear just to make sure that if anything happens, they can stop that. And you can see Pine next to you, Morwen. Pine says, "Don't worry." He's like looking down at the ground. So Sally kind of gets up, She calls each dog by name, and you can see this change. They go from just kind of like being happy and waiting to this very serious business attitude. They line up. As this happens, all of you can feel the dogs kind of similarly going into this like business mode. It gets quiet, not silent. There's a lot of like breathing of dogs and shifting around, but there's no more like barking or playful yowls. It's business time. And Sally looks back at all of you now in a rough line. Is everybody ready?
Ready.
Then we ride. Yeah! And because it is 12:05, that is where we're going to end for the evening. So yeah, great job, everybody. Guntir. So I said this to them when we were in break, but probably the most important dice roll of the entire campaign was Guntir's with Grunvar. That changed a lot. So that was very well done. Diplomacy from the Finger Gang.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Democracy.
So thank you for everybody who tuned in, for the bits, for following along on this adventure. We'll be back, I believe, next Friday. I will not be in this room. I'll be in a new room, which is super exciting. And there'll be lots of updates coming on the website, alberonrpg.com. You can also find us at alberonrpg on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook. So all those platforms. On our website, there is free stuff to download. There is the Port Quinn guide. There's actually the guide to the Undercity, which we saw briefly, along with all the different locations that you guys did not see. Kevin and all of his wares are his wares from today are not listed, but his general stock is. So, lots of cool things. But we'll be back next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, please stay safe. It is exceptionally crazy out there. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.